Welcome to the God Pod with Lord Jamar. Not a hard job to expose the fraud you are. P. Diddy, Kid Cudi, explode your car. Shit get ugly when I unload the scar. But this ain't PUBG. Shout out to my people around the world that love me. Peace to Artie Stacks, Digger and Godfrey. My people in the chat, all my niggas that got me. Rest in peace, fact checker rage. Got memories that never fade. You are still missed to this day. Sever with my blade what gets in my way. Never be a tether, this is FBA. I got games for whoever wanna play. Spit flames for forever and a day. Shit changed, then you better get away. You know my name, motherfucker, is Lord J.
Hey! Yeah. What's good, people? We in the house. Teach Marie, I see you. Shout out to everybody in the chat already. Eli Street. A1 Drizzy, what's good? You see what we did, y'all? We got that power, y'all. They didn't think we had the power. We got the power. Peace to the gods. Peace to the earth. On this Friday, knowledge cipher day. All being born of knowledge, yes. Oh, we gonna get the knowledge today, boy. We gonna take the knowledge from the cipher. We gonna come out with more knowledge. Oh, you know we gotta do that. You know we gotta do that. Jamar Milton in the house. We're gonna address the elephant. Before we get it started, I got my man in the house. Y'all make sure you click that like button. We got to get it popping. Hold up. Let's go like this.
As you assess such an elegant tune, let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Out right now.
You assess such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Shout out my Ricans and Jamaicans. I know you think I'm hating, but you had no influence in creation of this hip hop. Your participation was tip top, but Black Americans showed you how to rip shop. Have you forgot that we taught you how to dress? Back then, coming out looking like a mess. Y'all were dumbing out, tank tops made a mess, shoes clunky. We showed you how to get funky fresh, amongst the best. We helped you learn the language, so at school you wouldn't flunk the test. Let's address the elephant in the room. The elements came from Bam, the man grooms. Breaking just another dance that came from the culture. Don't be like the other man and act like a vulture. All day influences FBA. I'll say it's true right to this day. As you assess such an elegant tune, let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. You assess such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Okay, the sun is 93 million miles away. If it was, then why is it dark in space? The sun and moon are right here in the atmosphere. It's clear, just that information that these bastards fear. I send an invitation to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Wanna debate him because I feel that his ass lying. How is the fly defying gravity? If it's holding down the ocean, that's a ridiculous notion. The water always finds its level. It can't curve on a ball, but y'all to have the nerve and the gall to call me a flat earther. Like I'm a bad person. Shit is sad when I see the ignorance worsen. And I know this doesn't jive with the lessons, but I will always be a 5 to my essence. I think it's time we address it. Renew our Quran, what we need to do, word is born. You assess such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. The elephant. You assess such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Oh, we got bass styles, baby. What's good, people? Welcome to the God Pod with Lord Jamar. I am Lord Jamar. I'm happy to be back on this Friday. We got a lot to talk about today. I have my distinguished guest coming up in 1 minute. I just want to encourage everybody that's in the house right now to click the like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome to you. And I encourage you to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and click all so that you'll be notified every time we drop a new joint. Yeah, it's a lot of things going on. We're gonna get to all of this shit. Like, I didn't even really want to keep talking about this per se, but I turn around one day and here comes Tony Sunshine, the guy who got cock slapped. He wants to fucking post some shit about me on IG as if he's being some sort of virtue signaler. So that was a bad move. And then you got your man Funk Flex, who posts some shit that, first of all, he's spelling my name wrong in the post, and he's bigging up Fat Joe like he's the greatest thing that ever happened to hip hop. That was a little weird. There's another post when I was years ago on Drink Champs, again trying to be gracious to the Puerto Ricans and saying they were there from day one. Never said they created anything, just said they were there. They were there. But they try to use that as some sort of scapegoat to act like I'm contradicting myself and all that type of shit. We're not buying it. Listen, when you know better, you do better. So, the need to delineate at that time wasn't as strong as it is now. So, there was a time when I also believed in Santa Claus too, motherfuckers. You're going to hold that against me too? You understand what I'm saying? Get the fuck out of here. So anyway, I want to bring on my guest, man, because a lot of people on this channel especially was like, yo, you need to get on the show. And I'm like, who? Dwan B. Dwan B. Yo, you need Dwan B. My brother, you know what I mean? Yo, you need to get Dwan B. Yo, he's dope. He be, you know what I mean? He be breaking it down. He's a musical historian, among other things. So what I do? Got in touch with Dwan B and said, yo, let's do this, brother. And he said, happily. So we's about to get into it and discuss some things, man, and bring truth to light. That's all we're here to do, y'all. We're not here to hate on anybody. We're just here to bring truth to light. So with no further ado, I'd like to bring my brother Dwan B to the Godcast.
What's up, y'all?
Brother?
Man,
how are you, King?
Man, I appreciate the invite, man. I'm a day one subscriber going back to Godcast. I'm a day one subscriber, been a long time fan since the brand Nubian day. So this is an honor to speak with you because we on the grassroots, man. We always want somebody that's on top to hold us down too, to hold it down for the culture. And you've been doing that. So that goes recognized by the people that you've been doing, the work you've been putting in this whole time. So that definitely goes noticed.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So give people a little bit about your background. You know what I mean? And what how you got into coming into prominence, I would say.
I'm just a regular cat, I mean? I work, I'm played the drums in church for 20 years. And when I'm a self-taught drummer. And when I was teaching myself how to play the drums, you get into my dad, putting James Brown in front of me, putting Smokey Robinson in front of me, and then from there, when you a self-taught drummer, you get in, okay, who is this? Who is that drummer? Who is that bass player? Who is that keyboard player? So I'm just somebody who, as I was teaching myself how to play music from the age of 13 on and playing in church, I always just studied. It was really curiosity. Who is this that played the drums on that song? Do you learn their bio? Do you learn who they learn from? Do you learn who they learn from? When I went to college, my major was in communication studies, so that taught me how to communicate it. My minor was in cultural anthropology, And cultural anthropology teaches you how to source information, a primary source from a secondary source with empirical evidence, and how to, when you present information, give 3 to 5 points of references in a scholarly manner. So, but I learned that just because my mama told me I had to go to college. You dig what I'm saying? So that's more so what that was, looking for a major that wasn't math related, but it turned into just my love and curiosity for music. Also a stand-up comedian. Been doing that for a while. I'll be on an episode. I'm not really an actor, but I will be on an episode of The Neighborhood coming up pretty soon on CBS.
Nice.
So it's really that. And then I worked with kids here in South Central LA at a mental health agency for years. And the thing that got me into my music historical project and really putting this stuff together was working with kids for so long in South Central LA, from Watts to Compton to downtown. I saw that when I got my Black boys and I taught them knowledge of self, I saw how knowledge of self raised their self-esteem. Raising their self-esteem, you change their behavior.
And when you say knowledge of self, what are you speaking of specifically?
Who you are as a person, but we're also where you come from. Your responsibility. And I would also oftentimes teach that through music. We relate through music, and I would teach, this is your people right here. The Moors are the ones that brought these sounds to America. And I would just do that just here in South Central LA with small groups of kids to, show them that they were worth something. And then I saw when Busta Rhymes put that video out talking about some Black Americans have no culture, and then Fat Joe said hip hop 50-50, I was like, no. So basically what I did was just bring information that was for me, that I talked to a handful of people I never thought would go anywhere. I thought people knew most of the stuff that I knew, honestly. And then I saw people didn't know. And so I started doing videos when I only had like 2,000 YouTube subscribers on music. Tariq Nasheed retweeted one. He supported my Black American Music History Tree product, and that helped turn people on. I was on a popular podcast during the pandemic that had a bunch of followers. And then
is that the Craig Smith show? Shout out to Mo Get It. Said been watching Dwan since Craig Smith show. Thank you.
Yeah, we used to do Craig Facts, and then I would do 5150 sometime with Corey Holcomb. Shouts out to Corey. And that really helped get some stuff out. And then from there, I just saw the need. So it was just me addressing the need. I wasn't planning on going down this route.
Right.
But I saw the need. So hey, let's do it.
I wasn't planning on going down this route either. Yeah. But when I see somebody blatantly not telling the truth, when the DNA facts are sitting in your face, it's one thing to say something and feel a certain way, but what the evidence is there, slapping you all in your face, and you're still, trying to somehow spin this in a different way. Oh, we was there. Yes, you were there. But you didn't influence a goddamn thing. That's what we're talking. That's the essence. That's the nuance that you just don't understand. That your whole Asian is wrong. There's creation and there's participation. Your Asians are all fucked up. Okay? Because you don't understand between one Asian and another Asian. Because you want to be down with the creation, and there is no co-creator. First of all, do y'all want to be the mother of hip-hop? Is that what y'all want to be? Because we're definitely the father. Y'all want to be the mother? Is that what you're saying? You want to be down with this so bad that you want to be the mom? No. The foundational Black Americans are the fathers and mothers of hip hop, just like we are of all culture in this country. And there is no two fathers. When's the last time you went on the Maury show and they said, you both are the father? You're both the co-creator. Nah. I hit it first. She had my baby, and then you got to hit it afterwards. Okay? After me. I was the one.
They watch too much Ellen DeGeneres.
I just let you hold the baby. I just let you babysit the baby. I trusted you with the baby to babysit the baby at times, but you're not the father. Come on, let's get into some some Dwann B shit right now, man. Let's break some shit down, some historical. Hang on, let me read this right here real quick. High powered 1126. Thank you. He said, this is the super power team up I've been waiting for all last year. Much love and power to both of y'all. Why, thank you, high powered. I appreciate you. Oh, you look like you're working out on them bars too. Go get that work. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk. Like, are we being, let me ask you, do you feel like we're being divisive and exclusionary by trying to delineate the fact that we, that this hip hop thing is something that we created and influenced from its inception, regardless of people who might have had other ethnic backgrounds? Are we in the wrong?
No, what it is, we're dealing with people who are divisive, who are projecting what's been their intent the whole time. It's like what political parties do. I'm gonna accuse the other party of doing what I plan on doing the whole time. They're being divisive when they have to divide themselves and say we were there, like we were at the party or we were influenced, and that's being divisive, because if we're all one thing, why do you have to raise your hand and say I was at the party? You paid your money to get in and you had a good time. And unlike with your culture, we wasn't sitting around kicking y'all out and telling y'all can't be here because you don't fit. We weren't doing that. We said welcome to the party. Now you done went to the party, you done ate some nachos, spilled some of that shit on the floor. You know what I mean? You came with this old wild ass dancing, knocking people all out the way with your mullets and jerry curls, and no, them looking like Kid Ray from Lean on Me. You came in messing everything, and we still said cool. And now you want to come back 30 years later and say you the one that created the party, or you were undercover, hiding your ethnic background, speaking like us, talking like us, walking like us, dressing like us, listening to James Brown is like us. And then now that you gotten a little bit on top, a little older, it was your culture that was doing it, when the truth is you were running from your culture. So what makes us respond the way we're responding is we allowed y'all to kick it. Yeah, we crack jokes on you, but we crack jokes on everybody. That's the part I want people to get over it. My thing is this: you want to be in the culture? I come from a roasting background. If you green, you in. You want to be part of the culture? Well, take all this culture.
Take it all.
Cracking jokes and talking shit is part of it. You dig what I'm saying? And so, yeah, we gonna clown you for your little Kid Ray mullets. Yeah, we gonna crown you like the elephant in the room when we taught you how to dress. When you said
with your mesh tank tops.
Yeah, y'all can't.
You know that's what y'all was wearing.
Y'all was wearing mesh tank tops. Y'all was wearing white jeans in December, and you was musty. And so, of course, we gonna crack some jokes. My grandfather called me the little fat motherfucker when I was 3. Get over it. The fuck is you grown?
Get over it.
I don't even empathize because black people, you know how it is, Lord Jamar. We walk out the house, we gotta walk out the house fresh. Why? Because we gonna get clowned by our big brother on the way out the house, your big sister on the way out the house, Miss Alice down the hallway. Then by the time you get to the front door of the school, if your shoes ain't right, if your collar's if your shirt is wrinkled, you're not getting clowned by 15 people.
This what make you first start even thinking about your hair. Like somebody call you peasy or something. What?
Bruh.
What is that? And then you realize, oh, this is something you got to think about.
A good clown is
we all go through it. We all go through it in the foundational Black American community. So stop crying. Like I got people literally acting like, why are you being racist against Puerto Ricans and Jamaicans in your song? Come on, bro. First of all, I shout you out from the first line. Shout out Maricans and Jamaicans. I know you think I'm hating, but you had no influence in creation of this hip hop. Your participation was tip top, but Black Americans showed you how to rip shop. Now, the next part, when I talk about we taught you how to dress, this is the part where they're acting like you're being racist. No, I'm doing a foundational Black American thing is kind of playing the dozens with you right now, ribbing you for your shortcomings at that time. You overcame them, right? You overcame them because you got with this hip hop shit. Because if you would have kept doing that, we would have still been snapping on your ass. But y'all changed your shit up, right? Fuck it with us. We taught you how to do
that. Hey, can I drop some science on them when it comes to clowning?
Please drop it.
What we now know as stand-up comedy in today's America, the context in which we see it done in the United States of America, was something that comes out of the same juke joints as blues and jazz. How did I reach that conclusion? Let me tell you how I reached that conclusion. There's a documentary you can watch on Mom's Mabley by Whoopi Goldberg. And in that documentary, you guys can see, because I like to give sources that you guys can go to. And y'all like listening to white people anyway. So go to that documentary done by either Showtime or HBO. It was produced by Whoopi Goldberg. It's on Mom's Mabley. And it gives Mom's Mabley the credit for being the person that set the tone to today's stand-up comedy, standing flat-footed in front of an audience, cracking jokes. That historically, she's credited as the first stand-up comic. Well, I had an interview about 4 years ago with Mr. Bobby Rush. He's still alive. He was the session guitarist for Chess Records, and he was on that movie Cadillac Records. He was an historical consultant, and he was in the movie. He talked about being in the chitlin circuit with Mom's Mabley, Pig Meat Markham, Muddy Waters, and all these guys. And so I talked to him about that. He said, yeah, when we were coming around the chitlin circuit, it was passed down to us. Like, when you're entertaining people who are sharecroppers, you can't just play the guitar. You can't just sing. You can't just dance. You have to do it all. These are sharecroppers. And then you got to make them laugh. And he said he tells a story about being around in the 50s and the 60s, traveling the chitlin circuit, and how if you were an MC, you got paid $5 for the night. I'm sorry, if you're a musician, you got $5 for the weekend. If you're an MC, you got $7. So most of those guys, whether you're talking about Muddy Waters, Richard Pryor, and those people, they learned how to do it all. And so what we now know is stand-up comedy is how stand-up comedy was done in the juke joints of America, in the same places that the blues, jazz, and rhythm and blues was created. That's why if you go back and look historically, Bill Cosby was also a musician. He did an album called Silver Spur that was produced. He
had some hard beats on his album too.
Yeah,
Cosby had some shit on his album.
Yeah, my father-in-law produced 2 of his albums.
Wow.
Before he moved on to Motown and produced the Jackson 5 and the Commodores and those people.
Wow.
But he produced 2 Bill Cosby albums. Richard Pryor was a musician. Every early stand-up comic was also a musician and probably a dancer too.
I ain't gonna lie, not to cut you off real quick, but I just remember as a child thinking about trying to be like a musician, like a Michael Jackson. And in your mind, you're thinking, damn, I'm going to have to do it all. Like at that time, you had to do it. You had to be able to sing, dance, play an instrument. Like you had to be able to do it all. You might even have to get in a movie and act. It was just like, and those expectations were very scary almost as a child. So when hip hop came out, it took away some of the anxiety because, okay, well, at least I don't have to sing all crazy and I don't have to fucking dance and all this type of shit. I could just rhythmically, you know what I mean? Fuck with these things. But anyway, continue. I just wanted to interject.
Yeah, because like in today's world, we see it as separate things. And when really they're rooted in the same tree. And that's what this tree explains. It's all rooted in the same. I got to make you laugh. Going back, Muddy Waters, the king of rock and roll of what later became Jimi Hendrix style heavy metal, he had a song called "The Gypsy Woman Told Me You Your Mama's Bad Luck Child." Tell me that ain't jokes. You dig what I'm saying? Like that was one of his biggest songs.
You your mama's bad luck child.
You your mama's bad. The Gypsy Woman said, "You your mama's bad luck child." You know what I mean? That's so cracking jokes. You go back to Louis Jordan. You go back to Fats Waller. Fats Waller was also a comedian. Fats Waller was a very popular musician as you leave out of the 20s and get into the 30s. He died young in the early 40s.
I remember Fats Waller. I haven't heard that name in so long. Damn, I'm glad you said that. Go ahead.
Yeah, Fats Waller, because the man that really established the sound of jazz is Louis Armstrong in America. He's the father of it all. Fats Waller took what Louis Armstrong was doing on the trumpet, put it on the piano, and he would sit around and joke and crack jokes in his songs. There's a song he had called "The Milkman," and it's a very naive song about basically the milkman is smashing my gal, but he making himself look like the simp. But that's because he always had it comedy in his music, and also when he played, when you see him when he played with his strokes, he'd always roll his eyes and do all kind of funny stuff with the piano, and he set the foundation for bringing in the blues style writing with the jazz elements, and was the early works before we get to rock and roll, before we get to rhythm and blues. There's Fats Waller, and so when you go from the tree of Fats Waller, and then you go into Louis Jordan, Choo Choo Cha Boogie, the king of R&B, the creator of rhythm and blues. You go into Louis Jordan got a song called "Brother Beware." Go back and listen. He's rapping. He's basically talking about he's talking about in today's world what we call a ratchet hoe in today's world.
And what year are we talking about here?
We're talking about, the song was originally done in the 40s, but it was recorded in the 50s. Okay. It's a song called "Brother Beware." Louis Jordan was the black people's champion. You know, the white folks was listening to Chuck Berry and Little Richard. We listened to them too, but the white folks rushed them.
I'm not gonna lie, I never heard of Louis Jordan. Ever. Louis Jordan just now. You just put me on.
Let me put you up on game. Louis Jordan is the king of rhythm and blues. He's the person that really codified the jazz elements and singing. He had a song. You ever hear that song on a Tom and Jerry cartoon? Is you is.
Yes.
Is.
That's Louis Jordan. My baby.
That's Louis Jordan. They just took his stuff and gave it to Tom.
Somebody new.
That's Louis Jordan.
Baby.
That's Louis Jordan.
Wow,
Louis Jordan. He had a song called "Choo Choo Cha Boogie," where he's rapping. Take me right back to the fat Jack. Choo Choo Cha Boogie. He's rapping.
Wow.
So the person who really created rhythm and blues also rapped and also cracked jokes in his music. And Louis Jordan was one of James Brown's primary inspirations, and that's why James Brown rapped and sang, because Louis Jordan rapped and sang. And Louis Jordan was it was the same schism in the 50s as it is now. You had your pop guys that the white folks gravitated to, and you had the people that the niggas gravitated to.
Right. You had the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
And you had Mobb Deep.
And when you look at Chuck Berry and Little Richard, they're the ones who, although they come from us and they are our champions, though the white people rushed them. Louis Jordan was the one that the streets was listening to. That's why you don't hear about him as much. He's who the streets was down with in the 50s. He was the person that inspired Ray Charles to go R&B. And when Ray Charles brought the gospel into R&B, that's what codified what we now know as soul music. But that comes out of Louis Jordan and Fats Waller. It's a lineage we can literally trace when we talking about our music.
Right. So let's for sake of argument, is there anything that we can find in Hispanic or Jamaican music that we can say made its way directly into our music, that it somehow influenced us to the point where, foundational Black American youth were trying to copy what people outside of this country were doing? Is there any evidence of this?
At best, when Jamaicans say toasting,
right?
At best, there's something that their forefathers copy from us that they think their forefathers created, and they see us doing it, so they think we got that from them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I'm saying, really, the answer is hell goddamn no. At best, your dad remixed something that my dad was listening to too, and so you're under the assumption, since you heard it first in your home, you're under the assumption that's your culture, but your parents were listening to the same Smokey Robinson and James Brown that my parents were listening to. So at best, they remix some things that they got from us and passed down to you. So you're under the false assumption, because this is what, let me explain. When it comes to, say, Latin jazz, Afro-Cuban style, Machito is the father of Afro-Cuban.
And
he came to America in 1939, right after Chick Webb passed away in 1937. Chick Webb was the baddest band in the land. When we talk about hip hop and battle culture in New York, that we could directly tie that back to the Battle of the Bands era. Chick Webb held down a Savoy Ballroom in New York, and if you thought your band was good, you had to come see Chick Webb, Count Basie, Duke Ellington. Anybody who thought they was a shit, they had to come to New York and go to that Savoy Ballroom and battle Chick Webb. And Chick Webb,
and that was a New York thing.
It was around the country. It's a Black culture thing,
right?
But New York is where people go to, and so since New York was the last stop on the chitlin circuit, that's you had to see Chick Webb. And even the white bands, when they came in, I'm drawing a blank to the white boy they called the King of Swing, Benny Goodman. Benny Goodman was the pop guy,
right?
But in 1935, he went down to see Chick Webb. Chick Webb washed and waxed the floor with his funky ass and sent his ass back on the other side of town. But out of Chick Webb, you get Billie Holiday and you get all these other great musicians, but you also get, I think Barry Salsa. Salsa played in Chick Webb's band, and when Chick Webb died in 1937, 38, don't quote me on the year, but late 30s, when he died, Barry got with his brother Machito, and they formed Machito's Afro-Cubans, and that's the first Afro-Cuban band. But outside of Machito and his brother, the rest of the band was Chick Webb's band. Chick Webb's horn section, it was all literally foundational Black Americans that comprised of 90% of the first Afro-Cuban band. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at and they took those swing rhythms, and then when Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie came from Kansas City to New York, they brought bebop from Kansas City to New York. When they brought bebop from Kansas City to New York, what you then have is a change in the sound, and that's where you get Latin jazz. That's where you get salsa. That's where you get bossa nova. And these sounds of Black America that when they interacted with those cultures, they picked up our melodies, our harmonies, our phrasing, and our instrumentation. The thing that I always base my point of view off of is the drum set. I'm a drummer. People always say drums were across the planet. Yeah, whatever. They're African, but they're also drums are everywhere. Everywhere in the world has their own unique style of drum. And the drum that's used in the United States of America is the drum set. Kick, snare, hi-hat. That was invented here in America. You can look him up. The man's name is D.D. Chandler. He's in the Smithsonian. For those of you who like white people's information, this Black man is acknowledged by the Smithsonian for inventing the foot pedal and codifying the drum set into what we now know, bass drum kick. And what we see is that's the sound of, that's the bandstand of Black America, the bass guitar, the lead guitar. What happened is when Latin music came, when Jamaican music came, they sat their native instrumentation down and adopted our instruments. They adopted the drum set. They adopted the bass guitar. They adopted gospel chords that we use. They adopted bebop phrasing, because before bebop, Latin music in the horn section had these long sustained sounds. Dun, 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 dun. When bebop came, that's when they went to that was a Spanish version. It's just like a different language. That was a Spanish version of bebop. So we see them incorporate these elements and instrumentation from us, and they sit their native instruments down. Jamaicans used to use a merengue box for the bass. They used to use steel drums that they got from Trinidad, by the way. They use hand drums, but when the drum set came, that's when ska came. That's when rocksteady came. That's when reggae came, when y'all picked up our instruments that we invented.
You're getting a little too deep with them now, bro. You getting a little, first of all, each one teach one. You teaching me some shit right now. I ain't know about the drum set and all of that. You teaching me some science right now. Keep going. Wait, hang on. If y'all just joining us, we are with Dwann B. Oh, music historian extraordinaire, breaking down, picking apart the DNA of this foundational Black American music, how we've influenced all cultures of music. Shout out to DJ Faze in the motherfucking house.
DJ Faze, what's up?
Yes, sir. That's my guy.
Good dude.
Yes. Oh, and I also, before we go any further, I just want to say shout out to my brother Doggy Diamonds. Oh my goodness, he did a live last night where he just was bigging me up, you know, beyond, you know what I mean? Like
I was watching that live. That was dope as hell.
Yo, people called me. I ended up watching it myself. I gotta go back and watch the whole thing, but yo, that was definitely like heartwarming. Seriously, like that was some real nigga shit. Like you talk about real nigga shit, that was some real nigga shit. And I fucks with Doggy. And we're gonna do something together as well, y'all. So get ready.
Salute to Doggy Diamond. That was dope. I thought that was dope personally when I saw it.
That was super dope because, you know, yes, a lot of sucker shit was going on this week. You know, Flunk Flex putting up this shit about Fat Joe did this and that and da. So then, you know, Doggy had to remind y'all what I've done for this hip hop game. And it ain't about giving out turkeys and shit like that. You know what I mean? I'm actually trying to give people opportunities in this game and change people's lives. And I'm still doing that. And you're going to see on my new album that I'm still doing it. But then, yeah, that's his new name, Flunk Flex. Anyway, so we changed the way that many reggae, you know, salsa, all we changed the way they even played their music. Yet you don't see us trying to take credit for any of that music. It's like, I mean, we got jazz. Y'all want to make Latin jazz off of what? Go ahead. Knock yourself out. That's how we felt about it. We're not going to say, well, you know what? You know, we was there. We're really the co-creators of salsa and all this type of shit. Like, we don't give a fuck about salsa. So take that shit. But here y'all go. Well, we were there, so I feel like, listen, here's the thing you got to understand. Proximity doesn't always mean a two-way influence. Just because two different cultures are around each other doesn't mean that they're swapping in some sort of equal fashion. The people in Brooklyn that have lived on Eastern Parkway around these Hasidic Jews for I don't know how long. You don't see a community of Black Hasidic Jews on Eastern Parkway just because they're around them. Nobody's going to temple. Nobody's learning Hebrew or Jewish, whatever they call that language. The same way, man, Black people in New York do not know how to speak Spanish like that. Although we lived around a bunch of Spanish people. Why not? Why don't we all speak fluent Spanish if your culture is so influential? But all y'all Spanish people want to say nigga. All y'all Spanish people know all the hip hop slang and, you know, whatever we saying at the time, that's some fly shit. Y'all saying it too. Why? Because the influence is really going one way, sir, ma'am. Like, I'm sorry that hurts you, but y'all didn't influence nothing. Foundational Black Americans influenced everything.
Man, that's why, like, certain things, one thing they teach you in anthropology is you even if you're going to research something, you have to research the context around which it is, the environment, to give it a holistic point of view. And as Black Americans, we are Americans. And what is it about them? What's the one thing people hate about Americans? Is we're extremely ethnocentric. We are an ethnocentric group. To be an American is to not give a damn about anything outside of America, for better or for worse. We don't learn other languages.
Nope.
That's other countries complained about us. They call us dumb Americans because we don't know their customs and culture. Why? We don't give a fuck about your custom and culture.
Facts.
And it is not to be disrespectful, but we too busy fighting is the South, East, West, Midwest. We got so much cultural greatness within America.
And that's not just Black America. That's like America.
That's America.
Yes, America.
To make it even worse on these people, these people who are mad at us, they have the lightest treatment of any immigrant group to ever come to America. Because if you came to America after slavery in the 1800s through Ellis Island, you had to change your name from Christopherson to Christopher, from Dump, like Donald Trump did, to Trump. You had to Americanize your name and get rid of where you come from. That's what being an American is. America, if you just look at the bigger context of America, to the white people that you guys worship, when it comes down to it, to be an American is to forget where you come from. That's really what being an American is. So when you're talking about that, that's just in the greater context of living in the United States of America. We as Black Americans, we have that dynamic going along with, we have so much competition within our own culture, from the Midwest to the South, to the East, to the West. We so focused on each other, we don't have time to think about y'all, nor do we give a damn. Not that you guys are less than or whatever. We just don't care. And when it comes to sourcing information, you got to give me not only musical, because the foundation, y'all keep talking about inspiration. The foundation for inspiration is the motivation. What are you motivated to listen to and participate in? When it comes to inspiration, one of the other things we can look at outside of the music, going back, is what you mentioned, language. You know, cool, y'all bring up Kool Herc. He named himself Cool. It was Lester Young that came up with the term cool. When it comes to a lot of y'all hip hop lingo, that Lester Young came out of Kansas City, came to New York. He came up with the terms cool. He came up with the term bread, pay me my bread after the show, using bread for money. The term homeboy, homegirl, Lester Young.
Really?
The term prayers, we talk about the group Dead Prayers. We salute you, Mr. Lord Jamar, for really putting them a bus on game to them.
Yes,
the
sir.
term prayers, Lester Young. The term dig, Lester Young.
What
All
about
that,
rap?
rap?
Let me rap to you.
This is one Black person. These were names that he used that when he moved to New York got pushed around, and 50 years later, you have a DJ that called himself Kool Herc. He didn't call himself Bumbleclock Herc. He called himself Kool Herc, a Black American name.
That's what I say about Pete Rock, who be getting on my fucking nerves lately, talking this bullshit. I'm like, why are you Pete Rock? Why don't you be Petey Ranks? Petey Rankin should be your name.
Right.
But you coming in here want to be Pete Rock because you know that's some hip hop shit. That's some foundational Black American sounding shit.
Brother.
Soul brother number one, you want to be. Why don't you be Bumbaclot Rasclot number one? Why you not be that, yeah?
And that's the thing, man. Hip hop tastes like fried chicken and fries, not jerk sauce and beef patties. You dig what I'm saying? You can taste it in the music.
You could taste it in the music, and it's not sofrito on there neither. There's no Goya inside hip hop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And that's the thing is, it's so insulting. Like, this is, and what we're talking, the reason why it's so insulting, Pete Rock, Busta Rhymes, and all y'all, is because when you go to the scholarship, books like race music, it's talking about from bebop to hip hop. The scholarship, we're not talking about Africa Bambaataa and these made up stories that they don't want to debate. Lord Jamar put out a debate to KRS One and all the people back in July. None of y'all responded. Y'all just run your mouth. When you go into the books, when you go into the scholarship that's peer reviewed by the music scholars, it always talks about the direct line from Black American music out of the slave fields in the South and out of the free Black societies in the North, especially in Philadelphia, how that has a direct correlation to hip hop. And the main reason why hip hop blew up the way it blew up is because they took the music out of the schools. Music industry stopped funding bands. So they said, okay, we can just do some samples. We ain't got to pay this band. Oh yeah. In the early 80s, they took all that music out because it was cheaper for the record industry, one. Two, there was also a massive plan set forth in the early 70s by Kissinger and those folks to lower the vibration of Black American music, because the question was asked, Why are Black people so militant? Why are they so knowledgeable? Why are they so on it? And they were like, really, it's coming from the music. It's Curtis Mayfield, it's Aretha Franklin, it's James Brown. So the government set out to suppress these voices. They took the live instrumentation out on purpose. That's why you can listen to a song in 1979 and then a song in 1986. Forget hip hop. Let's talk about R&B. From 79 to 86, you have completely different things. It went all electronic. That was to save budget. And that was also to lower the vibration of the sound. Because when you have a drummer that's playing with a feeling, that's that heartbeat that you feel. When you have a bass player, when you have humans playing instrument, it transmits and it communicates a spirit and a level of connection that if we kept going, we'd still be on a whole nother level. So when we're talking about the whole sampling thing, when we're talking about this, the use of the 808, all of that was brought in the same way these fillers were brought into McDonald's food to take away the nutrition of the music, to just give you sounds and take away your connections and take away really the openness of a song. And when it comes to that, like the whole thing about them doing this on purpose, this is how I drew that conclusion. Because I like to always tell how I draw conclusions. I drew this conclusion because I saw an old Dick Gregory interview about 10 years ago, Lord Jamar. And Dick Gregory talked about going through, he had this white paper where they were talking about taking the live instrumentation out and really lowering the vibration of the sound. I heard Dick Gregory talk about that. So I asked my father-in-law if that was true, if he heard of that. And he said, yeah. He was actually on a recording session at Motown in the early 80s with a particular big name artist. And Dick Gregory came down to Motown with these papers saying they messing y'all music up. You've heard it through the Harvard report, but there was a whole other part of the Harvard report. And he actually stalled the paper. And he talked to me about, yeah, like in the 80s, we were told, okay, you can't use live bands anymore. We were told that if you do use a live band, you're never going to record a sound again. That we were forced into this plastic, authentic sound, and we were basically experimenting. That was something that was driven to us, that was given to us because, you know, they own all the record labels, they own all the distribution. So the only way you're gonna release this album is with this cheaper form of making music. Wow. And that was all done to take away our unity. That's why you don't have songs like Family Reunion anymore. That's why you don't have live bands anymore, because a live band speaks to your soul. Background singers speak to your spirit. The live instrumentation is the four elements of life: earth, air, water, and fire. Drums and the bass are earth. The air is the horns, the woodwinds. The water is the keyboards. The fire is that guitar, and the singer encapsulate all four elements through their voice. And when you disconnect and you make these ingredients plastic, you no longer have a trumpet player. You have a trumpet part on the keyboard. You no longer have a string arrangement. Well, my father-in-law, when he did All Night Long by Lionel Richie, he had pulled in well over 100 musicians at some point to get the sound right. You're talking about a full-on orchestra playing these parts. And that's why these songs still last. That's why hip-hop is still sampling music 50 years old. Because when they came out and put these songs together, you have full-on orchestras and you have full-on musicians putting these things together. And it was a master plan to break us up from that. And so now what we're celebrating, when you talk about this new stuff and what's happening in the music, people from other cultures want to pat their back. Well, it's because of the merry-go-round sound, or it's because of the sound system. Yeah, it became about that because music is really about the music. But they took that from us and it got replaced with these inauthentic ingredients that people are now patting themselves on the back for, which really was introduced to us to take the musicality out of music and to take the love and the connection and the heartbeat from our sound.
If you're just joining us, I'm talking to Dwan B. He's cooking right now. Let me read some of these super chats real quick before we continue. Let's see. I think Dwan B has been giving Craig facts info about the meaning about FBA. Thanks, brother. Big Hurt. Thank you. Eternal Love. You going to Umar's school opening in Ghana? Huh? He's opening a school in Ghana? What about the school here? What about the school here? No, you've got to be joking. Thank you, Eternal Love. Eternal Love again say they stay fleeing to the United States, though. I mean, that's some real shit. Like, imagine where you live is so bad that you're just ready to leave the country. Not even like go to another town. Like you're like, anywhere else, it's still gonna be bad. I gotta leave the whole country because this shit is just bad. Where should I go? Well, man, them foundational Black Americans, they've really paved the way over there. You know what I mean? It's not perfect, but shit, it's better than it is over here. Yeah, let's go over there. But let's go over there with a fucking attitude. Nah, not all of them say that, but some of them do. But yes, you're right. There, a lot of them do stay fleeing. That's crazy. Thank you, Eternal Love. Donald Lyons. Truth. It's the same though in Philly. Heavy Puerto Rican. All of them speaking like us. AAVE. Thank you, Donald Lyons. Focus 77. Give Lord J that 7 of clubs reading. What's he talking about? That's something you do? What is that?
Oh yeah, I do. But yeah, I do. I'm also a card reader.
Oh,
I do that. I do that on my channel. I read the playing cards though. I don't read the tarot. I read these.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you could put us up on the science of that too. You know what I mean? I don't know the full science of it. Thank you, Focus. But would you want to say something about it? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say yes. It's just you got 52 cards in the deck that represent 52 weeks in the year, 4 suites, the 4 seasons, 13 cards in each suite, the 13 weeks within each season, and each card represents a personality archetype. And then from there you can read, and I do some other stuff of my professional business, my professional offline business with the NFL and some other people with this using these.
Oh, okay. Man, y'all, you just a whole. I'm learning a lot from you, bro. I'm glad we did this. Will Jones. To be fair, LJ, the influence is also because massive financial backing in media from magazine, radio, clubs, TV worldwide. I'm not sure what he's trying to say.
Can I answer that? Let me answer that for him. I know what he's trying to say.
Okay, go ahead.
He's trying to say that part of the reason why we have so much influence is because of the United States propaganda machine. And there's a book by a man named Kenneth Starr. I want you guys to go read that. And it's talking about the use of propaganda. Do you guys know, to go along with that, going back to the 1800s, America has used Black music to ingratiate itself to other lands. So although America, you know, they always send the diplomats before they send the military. Well, one thing that we Black Americans don't really understand is our music has oftentimes been the diplomat to ingratiate us to other nations. From the Fisk Jubilee singers in 1870, the first Black American to travel to Europe was when the United States was going to war with Great Britain. We sent a man named Francis Johnson out of Philadelphia in 1828 to go entertain Queen Victoria, and he was her favorite entertainer. A woman named Mary Elizabeth Taylor, Black woman singer from Natchez, Mississippi. They used to travel the world going back then. So like now, going back even in World War II. In World War II, America would send jazz over to Germany to really soften the soldiers. And you can look this up in a white man's documentary, the person who asked that, Oliver Stone's documentary on World War II. And he talks about there was a band named the Rough Riders because, I'm sorry, not the Rough Riders, the Ghetto Boys. Because in Germany, Count Basie and Duke Ellington was making those Nazi soldiers like, hey, maybe America ain't that bad. You know what I mean? And Hitler had a hardcore policy against American music because they knew how American music would affect the people like it does they fall in love with our music, which makes them fall in love with us, which makes it easier for the United States to do is diplomatic things to get other nations within our control. So that's how gracious our music has been. Our music was so effective in Nazi Germany that Hitler had to come up with a band named the Ghetto Boys. And what the Ghetto Boys would do is they would play Count Basie on the radio, and they had a band that would basically shadow play. So that way the Nazi soldiers can think they're listening to white people and not Black Americans. So yeah, you kind of got a point that our propaganda is why it's used, but the reason why it's used is because it's good. The minute y'all hear it in your nation, you fall in love with it and you forget what you like. And so yeah, we'll take that.
Now, I want to say that later on, I don't disagree that beyond the creational stages, but when you start to get to the 80s and, especially the mid 80s, I feel like there was a little bit of, especially in the Jamaican community, started to be a little bit of influence, or we started just fucking with Jamaican culture and incorporating it a little bit into foundational Black American culture. I feel, especially when we started dealing with Pan-Africanism and all of that, I think that brought us closer to our Jamaican brethren. I'm seeing some people in the comments saying, Lord Jamar, why'd you have dreads? Why'd you have dreads? To be honest, yeah, man, dreads to me was a symbol of conscious freedom. You know what I mean? To show that I'm not down with the status quo, and you know what I mean? I'm not trying to look how the white man wants me to look. And yes, I was inspired by some Rastas to do it. I was speaking with some Rastas, and you know what I mean? I seen the Rastas as like the 5%ers, but only of the Jamaican community. You know what I mean? It was like the counterparts. So that was inspiring. And I'm trying, and that, and I'm still about unity because I love my Jamaican brothers just like I love my Puerto Rican brothers. This is not about hating anybody. I think some people really feel that Lord Jamar doesn't like Puerto Ricans and Jamaicans, and that cannot be the farthest from the truth. You don't understand that my ties run deep with both communities, but the truth is the truth, and we're not going to allow emotionalism to let lies flourish just for the sake of, being cool. Like if I have to let a lie live just for us to be cool, what kind of friendship is that? What kind of friendship is that? If in order for us to coexist, I have to allow you to lie about some shit, like, that's not cool. That's not a real friendship to me. But thank you. Let me see. V Lightning Ion. My thank you. My Black grandmother played soul music while their Spanish grandmother played Spanish music. That's enough proof. Okay. Thank you. Karma Siren Vanity Smith. Just here to support by contributing a little something. Well, thank you. I appreciate you, Carmen. Free Fall in Cali. Dwan showed up going to work. You damn right he is. Black Tea, thank you. Nice collaboration. I've been checking Dwan B these past few weeks. Learned some of this from the book Music of Black Americans by Eileen Southern. All right. As said by Dwan B. We're going to check that out. Now I put Dwan B's YouTube page in the description. I want everybody here to go ahead and subscribe to his channel, and really dive into his videos, because there's only but so much we can cover here. FBAJ, thank you. He said Dwan B dropping jewels. Lord Jamar, not Jamal. Steel sharp. I think he wants to say steel sharp and steel. Eat to West, love Black American greatness. Okay, thank you, brother. FBAJ. Bailey Watson, Lord Jamar, you were cooking on Godfrey's Flat Earth show till it ended abruptly. Can you ask Dwan B where does he see Black music evolving to? Where do you see Black music evolving to, Dwan B?
Right now, I look at I've always looked at hip hop. I've always called hip hop the conclusion paragraph of a beautifully written essay on 100 years of recorded Black American music. Meaning, when you put together an essay, you tie in everything that you talked about before it. Hip hop brings in all the elements of our music that we've had and combined it and put it into a bowl. Now I see us now going back into all these creations that we've created over the time and reclaiming all of it. It's no longer about, hip hop is great that we've done this, but we got a lot of work to do. Like I'm looking and seeing, I'm at the, y'all see me if y'all follow my IG, I'm at the Hollywood Bowl every week. I'm always doing the live music. What I see is Black people going back in the country. Black people, we need to really reclaim rhythm and blues, because rhythm and blues is a mother to all of it, you know, because as far as once that was put together, when you really listen to hip hop closely, it's basically rhythm and blues looped up, and instead of somebody singing, they're rapping. But it's really this that we got to get back. I see us going back to authentic rhythm and blues with live instrumentation, real singing. I see it's going, the Southern Soul thing is popping off. You got trap jazz in Atlanta. You got West Coast jazz with Kamasi and Terrence Martin and J-Mo. I see my man J-Mo, who won Grammys with Anderson .Paak and Jasmine Sullivan. He has a project that he's doing right now where he's going back into more of the heavy metal sound with a trio. So I already see the sound diversifying itself. This whole one superstar thing is fake. Michael Jackson was the last authentic thing that really did that. Everything after that's just been contrived bullshit. You see how quick it was to burst Drake's bubble. You know, I see all that, the industry having one person, that industry pyramid, that stuff is going to AI. AI is going to be the new pop artist as you move forward. But that pop has always been fake music with no soul, no seasoning, no nothing. I see people going back to having cottage followings where you have a lot of greatness that's spread around, and you'll have people that have 200,000 or 300,000 followers making a great living that other people never heard of, you know? So I see it more so the sound being spread back around, us getting back in the rock and roll. You got Kingfish, the blues guitarist out of Memphis. That's a cold motherfucker. You know, you got Tank and the Bangers, what she's doing with poetry and live music, you know? So I really see music, us just really going back to all the music that we rushed and made and rushed through and left behind. I see us going back and picking up all those jewels and the sound being more spread around than one monolithic thing. That's what I see.
Heck 9 said, peace, God. Peace to the God Pod family. Song fired, Lord. You did it again. Legend. Fuck Fat Joe. Flat power. Yes, sir. Heck 9. Thank you, God. Hold up. Let me, there's I ain't gonna front. There's a lot of super chats. So let me just hang on. The Little Gaming Channel. That's my guy right there. Peace, King. He said, this is what happens when you let some outsiders in. Never check them and they get comfortable. This is really, this is really true. But I think we showing these motherfuckers that they are outsiders. And, you know, I'd love to, at some point, us talk about this whole Fat Joe. And if you believe that it was some of the pressure that we applied on this man in order to get him up out of here. Like I know that that's what it is. Matter of fact, just to let people know, somebody sent me a petition. I didn't start it, but there is a petition to get Fat Joe up out of here. So I actually put a link in the description. Hey, if you want to click that link and sign that petition, you know, it's a change.org petition. You know, if it gets enough signatures, maybe we send it to Stars. Maybe we send it to, you know, Jordan and Nike and, you know, different places. And, you know, let it be known that we have power. And just like any other block, you know, because Ben would have had to apologize and do sensitivity training and all kinds of stuff if he did this to any other group. But since, you know, there's no real respect for us and our people, yeah, this is how things go. Thank you, Little Gaming Channel. I appreciate you. DM, thank you. He said you standing for your people and your people are standing with you, brother. Thank you, DM. I appreciate you. J Bad, we are too inclusive. If you go into an FBA restaurant, we let everyone work there, Caribs, Latinos, etc. But when you go into Caribbean, Latino, Asian, etc. spot, they don't have FBA working in there. So who is divisive? Exactly. From what I understand, at Fat Joe's sneaker stores, foundational Black Americans are not allowed to work in there. He had a guy that he grew up with named Percy P or something like that, who just passed away recently. And from what I understand, this guy was begging for a job, and you know, Joe never gave him a job. I'm just saying, this is, you know, this is what I'm hearing. Thank you, J Bad. Prince Raw D said, "What up, Lord Jamar? Yo, fuck this white boy Sloppy Joe. He's a culture vulture that got too comfortable in our house. Now he's grinding his muddy shoes on our couch." Yeah, well, we got to get him out, and we got to send him an invoice, you know, for any damages. Okay, we sending out invoices for any damages. That's how we going. Yeah. What do you think about all of this? You know, people being able to come into the culture and benefit in a culture that, you know, again, we let them sit at the table of coolness and said, you're okay, you're cool, you can make money here with us. When most of these people wouldn't be able to do this in their own so-called cultures. I know that Fat Joe couldn't go to Puerto Rico and just subsist off of making records for the Puerto Rican people. Busta Rhymes couldn't go to Jamaica and do reggae music and be successful, regardless if his family is Jamaican, because none of these people are born there. And these people are looked upon differently by the people that live there on the islands. And that's another thing. Again, I want to just point out that these are the New Yorkers that really feel like this. These are the New York Jamaicans that are saying this type of stuff. People in Jamaica don't believe this, that they started hip hop. People in Puerto Rico don't believe that shit. This is some New Yorican myth. And, you know, I don't know what the name for a New York Jamaican is. A Yachty Jamaican, you know what I mean? I mean, a Yankee Jamaican. This is myths that came up to try to give them some sort of self-esteem. And I'm sorry, but it's just not true.
I think it's the other side of the same what you were saying earlier about the dreads. We as a culture, like you pull up your old video. I saw your old video. You can pull up old videos of me using the term African Americans, and we need to all come together and it's African music, because that's what I was taught too. And we've always been taught to ingratiate ourselves to other group. And that's a two-sided coin. On one hand, we have done things to ingratiate, and now, but when you know better, you do better. We accept people in because we've all know there was a time to where people came from other countries and, you know, and really was down with us. Really, when you're talking about before 1960, people who immigrated here before the 60s, you'll find those who immigrated here in the 30s just came and blended all the way then. The reason why Machito called his music Afro-Cuban is because he knew us as Afro-Americans. He wasn't saying Africa. He was saying that's because of the Afro-Americans. And he said flat out, like, you know, in my country, they don't really mess with us. They really Celia Cruz. She talked about how she was crapped on in Cuba because of her dark skin. It was the Black Americans who ingratiated ourselves to Celia Cruz. So the OGs, Tito Puente, their favorite drummer, his number one inspiration was a Black American named Max Roach. You know, Max Roach is the father of bebop, the person that really made drumming a solo skill. So those early class, those who came here for our grandparents' generation, it was reciprocal. They showed respect, but it became a thing to where folks got entitled. And then when you're dealing with the post-1960 immigrants, when you're dealing with dealing with these arrogant ass Nigerians, not all of them, but too many. Y'all don't check your own, so we got to say something. You know, having to deal with these people from now, Busta Rhymes saying we have no culture, Pete Rock naming himself Soul Brother, even though, and James Brown, but saying it's Jamaican, that makes you say, hold on. A good man, an honest man, looks back and sees the errors of his ways, and he'll say, yes, that is what I did. But to put it back on y'all, what kind of dirty, rotten scoundrel are you to deal with a group of people who did extend a hand, you slapped it away. Now that we saying it's okay, instead of you going back and codifying your people, saying, hey, we can't go back to Jamaica because they don't really mess with us. Same with Johnny. We got to go 10 toes down with, instead of you going to your people and saying, hey, we're going to check us, you want to come to us and call us all kinds of crazy. A wise person sees the error within their ways and they change. I used to say all music was African too, until I went down and looked. I was like, again, because I'm a drummer, so I asked the question. I'm like, because I'm a world music person. I love Jamaican music. I love Latin music. Anybody, and the proof is in my IG. You check my IG, you're gonna see me at Latin concerts. You're gonna see me at Rastafarian concerts. I love music, so I'm going to see everybody. The question was, when I go see Latin music, authentic Latin music, why don't I ever see a drum set? When I go to see authentic African music, they're doing the hand drums, but me being a drummer, that polyrhythmic hand drum sound doesn't work with us. Even when we use hand drums in American music colors around the sound. It's not the driving sound.
Exactly.
So I said, I didn't know we invented the drum set. I looked it up. And I said, who invented the drum set? I went on Smithsonian.org, which you can go in DC and see, and it talked about how the drum set was authentically United States of America. Now, when you listen to white folks' documentaries, they're going to start it in 1919 with the Ludwig Company. But Ludwig, when you go further to the Smithsonian, it goes back before that. I was able to say, okay, where does the bass come from? And what I found was, through my research, if we didn't invent the instrument was put into a black person's hands and said, hey, do something with it, because we can't. We didn't invent the talk box, but it was Herbie Hancock that was on the talk box before Roger Troutman. We didn't invent the drum machine, but it was Sly and the Family Stone in the song Family Affair. It was George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic in the song Chocolate City that was using the drum machine layered with
real drum,
with live instrumentation. We didn't invent the keyboard orchestration, but it was Stevie Wonder in the song Village Ghetto Land on Songs in the Key of Life. That's the first time electronic strings were ever used in a song. So if we didn't invent it, it was put into a black person's hand. The Rhodes was put into Herbie Hancock's hand. And when we showed the world what to do with it, everyone copied and traced what we did. That's what made me change my conclusion from everything is African to like, no. We carved out our own unique thing here. It wasn't on me being an American supremacist, as some of you dickheads say. It was because I did research and I was like, whoa, damn.
And they really are dickheads too.
They really are dickheads.
Yeah.
And so it was that made me change my language. It made me change what I used to say. Because when I did further research, I said, no, either we invented it, and then this is what they'll say, well, the banjo comes from Africa. Do you know that the banjo and the electronic guitar or hollow body guitars play completely different? When was the last time you heard a banjo in Black American music? We use a guitar, and our guitar is closer to what came out of Moorish Spain, a guitar called the lute. We'll use the lute more than we use the banjo, but that comes out of the Moors. But our current sound, the electronic guitar, it was Bo Diddley. When you hear the Bo Diddley backbeat, don't. That's the sound of America. That's Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley not only created that backbeat, that box square guitar that you see, that was him. And because back then they taught us, we learned electronics and stuff. He invented that guitar. He created that guitar out of a woodshed. The Bo Diddley named himself after a diddly bow. A diddly bow is a piece of chicken wire or hay wire tied to one end to a brick, the other end to a can, and you plucked on. These are all things that we were just getting scraps of from where we were and putting it together. And when the electronic thing came in, the people who did the electronics created something. A white person, Les Paul, saw what was going on, and he did an imitation of what we were doing. But he still put it in the black person's hands to show you what it sounded like. So the conclusion you naturally draw is, okay, this group of people, either they created the instrument or the instrument was created by another group, but this group of people plays it like this, not trying to be influential. We just trying to be the best one on the block. And your group hears this black person say, that sounds good. Let me try. That shows you who the father is, because we're not saying we're going to play it like you. Your forefathers are saying y'all were trying to play it like us. We didn't tell them to do that. We didn't put a gun to their head. Hey, that was their choice.
Now, to speak what you were saying a little earlier about how we'll take something and we'll use it. See, you got a lot of these, especially Puerto Ricans, that'll be like, no, some of the early breaks were Puerto Ricans playing the congas over a soul. Or, you know, listen, man, because we told them to put it on there. Some of the early rap records, Tito Puente is on there, and he's playing in some of the. We're using that sound because we, in our type of way, just like you said, it's not the driving sound. It's just something to accentuate what we're already doing. And again, if we say it's cool, then it's on there. If we say, nah, that ain't cool, we're not putting that on there. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of that early rap shit, I didn't like all those fucking congas and shit like that. When the break would have a bunch of congos and shit like that. I didn't really like now break. I ain't like all that shit in those early rap, you know, Sugar Hill records and shit like that. But that's the type of shit they talking about. Or they talking about, you know, some of the early break beats and shit. How, well, it was a Puerto Rican guy who played the triangle on a fucking, you know, on it, the ding, you know, like, come on, man. The fuck out of here, man.
You know what I said to them? Okay, what's the break beat? See, you got to go, okay, let's ask questions. Okay, what's the break beat? Where did those things get popular? Well, I'll tell you, the break beats got popular through James Brown, because when James Brown switched his sound and put it on the one and made it funky, it was those break beats that, and Papa's got a brand new bag. And break beats, when you plan the beat and you break it, give it a little bit of space. And the break, let's break down to the science of a break. If you're going to break something, the breaks only come with a pop of the snare. When you playing in the band, if the whole band break and I don't accentuate that break with a pop on the snare, there is no break. It just kind of sounds muddled. It doesn't, you don't really feel it. I gotta on that snare, or I gotta open up that hi-hat.
Yeah.
Or I gotta hit the snare and pinch it.
Right.
And this is the defining chemistry that goes into a break beat. People weren't breaking music like that before James Brown was breaking music. And all the DJs did was, oh, that sounds good, because black people, we respond to the break. We're like, pop, pop. That just makes us, because the rhythm it does something. And we got to get something clear about breakdancing. Breakdancing comes from funk music. All the hip hop adapted that as a dance for a period of time. But the music that was being played was funk, because it's a certain tempo that you had to break and dance to, and the music comes in the groove. It comes in between the spaces. And another thing I tell them people is this. Let's break this down scientifically, Lord Jamar. You're a producer extraordinaire. You listen to Latin music, you listen to Jamaican music, you listen to African music. That their snare beats, when they took our snare and started using it on their own music, they play on the 1 and the 3. When you listen, the accent of Caribbean music, Latin music, that's the 1 and the 3. You can find this out going to any white university on the planet. The thing that makes American music unique is the 2 and the 4. The world plays on the 1 and the 3. We play on the 2 and the 4. We play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Anytime you're in 2 and the 4, you're automatically going back to Black America, whether you're talking about K-pop, J-pop, any other sound. Your sound in your country is the 1 and the 3. That's why when I recorded my sample packs, when I recorded my Latin packs and my Afro beats packs, they the same goddamn beats, except for in Latin I have a shaker. On the African, I'm using a cowbell to accentuate it. But it's the same thing, because y'all play on the 1 and the 3. Let's just break this down music science. We got a 4-bar measure. Where are the accents? Black American accents on 2 and the 4. If you're using 2 and 4, you learn that from us. And how do I know this? You always got to answer how. How do I know this? Because when I go back and listen to your native music, the music that you have recorded in 4/4 time, you guys play on the 1 and the 3. Why do I know this? Because as a drummer, if I'm going to fill in and play it for a Latin band, which I've done plenty of times, I got to be correct with the timing. So as a drummer, okay, we on a 1 to 3. Let's do it this way. It's a different feel. It's a different thing. And for me, I've always appreciated. That's why I spent so much time at Latin music concerts. I like the difference. I totally appreciate you guys' music, but it's different. That's just what it is.
If you're just joining us, I'm in the house talking to Dwan B, and they done let me bring the wrong motherfucker on here today. Nah, for real. Y'all wasn't ready for this. Y'all was not ready for this. Hang on a second. Todd Bridgeforth, thank you. He said, I say, you are getting the Farrakhan treatment. Tell an uncomfortable truth. They take your words out of context, then say you're spreading hate. This is true, Todd Bridgeforth. Thank you, Todd. The code leads. Ooh, thank you. The code leads. He said FBA are not broke niggas. Obviously not. We are Black Americans. Stopping the disrespect starts at home. Oh, you are so right. The code leads. And we're gonna show, like, you calling people broke niggas, but we're the ones that gave you your money. Your whole lifestyle come from us. How dare you? How dare you? Well, we're gonna show you. We're gonna show you exactly who we are. Because that's just the first thing you're gonna be stepping down from. And stop acting like you gave that shit away. We're not buying that, Cap Joe. We're not buying that. Cap. We did that. We did that. Christopher Ellis, he said, do the FBA. A team black.
Hey, that's cold.
Team black.
I saw that.
Team black.
And that was a cold one right there. I've been playing that one. I've been riding my car going Team Black. That was a cold one. I meant to say that to you. That was cold.
Today I was gonna say, good night, sweetheart. Well, goodbye, Fat Joe.
Or you know which one I was gonna do? I was gonna do some Ray Charles. Hit the road, Joe, and don't you come back no more.
Hit the road, Joe. Yeah, man. There's a lot of work. Oh, KRS, out of here. When you shut get out of here. Baby, like, well, we ain't going out. Down with the sound called PDP. Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you, Christopher Ellis. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know. It's like, you know, you got crazy legs. I'm sorry, lazy legs out here, you know. I want to fight you, Lord Jamar. Let's get in the boxing ring and have fisticuffs. And it's like, if I beat up this old man, it's still not going to change the fact that Puerto Ricans didn't start hip hop. Like, you're not the creators of hip hop. You were the first ones to participate and, you know, wave the flag and all that. And again, we thank you. We appreciate your contributions. But why? Again, why is it a problem that you didn't create nothing? Why does that bother you so much? Why do you think it bothers them so much?
Cultural imperialism. Like, these are people who they X out the Black people in their homelands. So, you know, Latinos will let you know about Vicente Guerrero, the Black Mexican president that ended slavery, or Gaspar Yanga, the person that helped free them from Spain. They don't let you know about these dark-skinned people that created everything. So they think they're going to come here and do the same thing. And this is what I tell people. See, you're a lot nicer than I am when it comes to that. And when it comes to, like, them coming over here to, like, crazy legs saying thank you. No, you need to be thanking us, because what you was playing in your household obviously wasn't interesting enough for you to keep playing it. You had a whole culture and sound that you did not ever have to leave. No one asked you to come. As a matter of fact, you took bullets and came to see us and come around against your culture's wishes. You could have just listened to if you listened to your mama and daddy, you would have stayed home anyway. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Exactly.
But to that, because I've been hearing a lot of Latinos and the Jamaicans pat themselves on the back. You know what I tell them? Y'all just the newest immigrants to fall in love with Black people, and it's okay. Because when they came into Ellis Island, through Ellis Island, the people that were then known as Greeks and olive-skinned Americans, they weren't quite white yet. The Greeks, the Irish, the Italians. You know who they liked? They loved Scott Joplin. You know, and they loved that ragtime music, turn of the century. Maple Leaf Rag. People associated ragtime with the sound of America for those who came around the turn of the century. And then when the 1900s came, they fell in love with jazz. It's like, oh my God, the white boys were sneaking down to the Black side of town to discover jazz. The people who weren't quite white yet, and the white ones in New York. And then if you go over to Chicago, when you're talking about Elton John, Billy Joel, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, those white boys were sneaking in, going to the south side of Chicago and going down to the Black side of town to listen to the music and get ingratiated with the blues. If there was white boys in Memphis, they was going down to Beale Street, listening to what the Black people were doing. Every new immigrant group to America comes to where the Black people are. You're just the newest. And they listen to what we're doing and they copy it. The reason why the Rolling Stones called themselves the Rolling Stones is because they named themselves after a Muddy Waters song called Rolling Stone. Literally. Like when you're talking about these other musics, that this is just people who are new immigrants from England, from Germany, from wherever they were, coming to the Black people doing Black music. When you listen to 80s pop, Boy George, that's nothing but Black boogaloo from the 50s. When you listen to Cyndi Lauper, when you listen to Madonna, the only reason why Madonna had a career was because the industry cut the budget for Chic and took Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards and say, you work with this white girl instead, Madonna, and then you get the song Like a Virgin. It's always been us through every single genre of music we created. The new immigrants come to our town and adapt what they were doing. Only difference is Latinos really want to be white, but they can't quite be yet. The white groups got to successfully chip it off because there's so much whiteness that goes along with them. The Latinos don't quite have that white status yet. You know, the Jamaicans are never going to get it. So they're caught in this little quagmire. It's like, we like what the Negroes are doing too, just like these white people we want to be like, but we can't chip it off for ourselves and rename it like the white folks did with rock and roll, like the white folks did with other forms of music, because this generation of Black people won't let us, and we'll never be accepted in the white. So they got to rationalize to their families, to their friends, their people back on their islands, why they like it. No, we like it because we helped create it. No, you didn't. Just take it. Just take it.
Just take it. What do you know about freestyle music, which in the 80s at some point was a thing amongst Puerto Rican people where I think they thought they were going to go big with freestyle music, and that's take me to the water, summertime, maybe. You ever heard that song? We can fall in love. Fucking like Madonna almost was like mixed in with some freestyle type of songs too. Like that was the Puerto Rican shit. But it seemed like freestyle didn't really blow up like that. It was kind of a little fad, wasn't it?
It was a flash in the pan like Afro beats. It was a flash in the pan like the Daddy Yankee style. It's a flash in the pan little era. But it always dies out because they're always stealing from a Black person, taking a Black person's mold, and then we move on and do something else. They don't have nobody to copy and do. They're on to whatever we're on to next. So, and I've heard them try to take Boogaloo. And I want to say another thing, because, you know, there's East Coast hip hop with New York hip hop, but there's also West Coast. And the West Coast and the South were developed in our own environments. And there wasn't no damn Puerto Ricans and Jamaicans over there. But the sound still exists. It still grew and it flowered. And it grew and it flowered relative to our current environments, you know? And so when it comes down to these other styles of music, that's just them trying to hop on something that we own if we stay on it, they could probably copy it long enough, like we did hip hop. We've been on hip hop for a long time. So 30 years later, they can raise a generation that grew up on it to sound like us. You know what I mean? But when we move on from it, it doesn't get a chance to really grow, and it just becomes a thing. And they talk about that 1, 3 or 4 year period, and that's it.
Can you talk a little bit about, because I think this goes hand in hand with foundational Black American music. Can you talk a little bit about our dance fads? What do you know about how we created different dances over time? From way back, we had all different kinds of dances with different names and different acrobatic styles, and some were things that you can do by yourself, and some were things that you did with a partner. And I just want to talk about like the lineage of that, because my point is, when they single out breakdancing as some sort of element of hip hop just by itself, it pisses me off, because they're subconsciously trying to make a stake with the Puerto Ricans, because in your mind, you associate breakdancing with Puerto Ricans, even though they did not create breakdancing, but you associate it in your mind. So by singling breakdancing out as an element of hip hop is a way to try to uplift the Puerto Ricans. I'm saying breakdancing was just another phase in the tradition of Black dancing, and we went on and moved on, and we kept moving on with dancing. And yes, breakdancing is a hip hop dance, but it's one of many. So I don't single out breakdancing as an element of hip hop. I single out hip hop dance as an element of hip hop. What do you think about that?
All Black music comes with these things. It comes with its own lingo, its own style of dress, its own dance. Like wherever we created, rhythm and blues, jazz, bebop had its own dances. Rock has its own dances. We are forgetting about Jimi Hendrix up in Seattle, what he did and what the cultures that he created. All the whole hippie style comes out of Black rock music culture. Like, you see what I mean? Whatever sound we create comes with a distinctive style of dance, and our dances are regional, and they're on times. Like, you'll have a dance that starts in the South, but the Midwest is doing something a little bit different, and then we come up with about 2 or 3 dances per summer, generally. Am I lying?
Fact.
About 2 or 3 dances.
2 or 3 dances per summer.
Per summer. And breakdancing is just the one that this group of people caught on, because that was one of our dances that they could bastardize and turn into some damn gymnastics competition and call it a dance. Because we have the up rock and down. Yeah, up rocking was the dance. The down rock, that getting on the floor is the acrobatics that you motherfuckers do, because you can't up rock. You can't dance. Y'all can't do the bank head bounce. y'all can't see. Y'all was breaking over there, but on the West Coast, we was pop locking. Well, let's see y'all pop
to the
locking.
To the beat. Y'all were dancing to the beat, and this is what the old school Black break dancers said. Their original break dance, and they was doing stuff to the beat. It had many parts to it. It wasn't just getting down on the floor. That was a part when the break came, then you get down on the floor. But all before that, you had to be dancing to the beat and doing different shit. And then even when you got down on the floor, whatever they was doing on the floor was to the beat. So they said that the way, like you said, they bastardized it to the point where they said you could be doing a DJ Phase. He's like, yo, you could be doing acrobatics over Beethoven. Like, it's the same shit. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, y'all is really, you're not doing it to the beat. You're just doing acrobats.
We see it every summer. Like, they didn't need to bring breakdancing to the Olympics. You see it on the floor exercise. That's breakdancing, like what they doing. Like that, but that's not necessarily a dance. It's
right.
You just doing some gymnastics. Cool,
gymnastics.
Great. It's great to see you flip and your mullet do all this other stuff.
Yeah,
and shit.
nice.
Great. But calm down.
Calm down.
We moved on. Calm down.
We've moved on. Well, they'll say, well, no other dance has made it to the Olympics. No other dance is. Shut the fuck up, man. We don't care. Like, people act like the commercial success of something really means something inside hip hop. I keep trying to tell y'all, it doesn't. It doesn't. Just because something did well commercially, like, doesn't mean we give a fuck about it in hip hop. Like wasn't there some hip hop potato chips or something for a minute, right? I don't care how many hip hop potato chips sold. We don't really give a fuck about hip hop potato chips, and they could have sold a hell of a lot. Like, but I don't never had a bag, and I don't give a fuck about them. Like, so economic shit inside hip hop means nothing.
Can we tell the truth? Stop patting yourself on the back. Part of the reason why I became an Olympic dance is because there's an island over there called Japan. There's a country over there called Korea. There's a place called Germany. And these people watch what we do and they imitate it. And that became part of their culture. Difference is the Japanese will tell you we get it from black people. The Koreans will tell you we get it from black people. Your own parents will tell you. Matter of fact, Crazy Legs, you said it yourself in the 80s that you got it from black people.
Yeah, you did.
It's because there's a lot of people, you ain't, like, they acting like they're the only ones. Like, Japan is way more powerful than y'all, and they kids love it. Germans, Russians, Koreans, Chinese, the world do what we do. That's how breakdancing got to the Olympic, because the world agreed.
Now, what do you think when people like, because I just saw a video recently, I think, where Africa Bambaataa is getting up on stage with Lazy Legs and trying to, reinforce the nonsense. And listen, he's talking about, people should respect their elders and all of this type of shit. And I do agree with that, but sometimes your elders do certain things that makes them lose respect, playing with little boys' buttholes and stuff like that makes you lose respect. Also blatantly lying about a culture to me makes you lose respect too. So yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that little virtue signaling thing that he tried to do right there. I'm not feeling it.
To that, I first tell Africa Bambaataa to address Layla Wills and what she's been on your ass. You ignoring her.
Oh yeah, shout out to Layla Wills.
I'll tell you to first address her because I've been watching her. I don't know her. I've just been watching her work and I appreciate her.
Mm-hmm.
But in this book right here called Yes, Yes, Y'all, this is a historical hip hop's first decade where they got a lot of your flyers and things like that. One of my cats from New York, my man, Mr. H.N. Edwards, he was a baby Spade. And he has some flyers that are in this book. And we've had conversations about how Bambaataa was around during that time too. And he knew what it was, but I got some foundational Black Americans who are actually in this book that wrote some of those early flyers, talk about how much of a Black culture it is. So Bambaataa got to stop acting like he the only one. Don't
tell me Joe Bozo is credited with anything on that cover or anything like that, because
nah, he ain't on this.
I took the pictures in that book, and now I don't want you to even show it on your show.
Yeah, these are flyers.
Yeah,
and so these are people that this is but it's there are people. There's so many that you interview the Day One guys.
Whip, Ruby D. Yeah, come on. I had all kind of Day One dudes on this show that said what it was. Raheem was on this show. Man.
And you know what I tell them? Again, hip hop, you were inherited a culture that was already moving and going along. And what they do when they start with Herc and start this Bambaataa lie, Bambaataa, you're doing no different than what the Rockefeller Trust does to all Black American history. You move the start date to when the first non-Black American came around, and that's when you say things started. It's the same formula. That's how you know it's probably some kind of white or some powers that be power behind these kind of people, because it's the same formula. Let's move the start date to where we can introduce ourselves and start, and then let's cut out all the Black people who were around Coke LaRock. Let's cut all the 99% of Black Americans who are around. Start with this one that's not Black American and move it on. Y'all tried it with jazz. Y'all tried it with disco. When I was a kid, I thought the Bee Gees were the king of disco. I didn't know Barry White created the first disco song with the Love Unlimited orchestra and the song Love's Theme. Polygenesis with the Sound of Philadelphia out of Philadelphia and Gamble and Huff in 1973. I thought when I was a kid growing up watching Michael Jackson videos, I thought the electric guitar was some white boy shit. I didn't know that it was Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix got basically everything from Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, and that whole chess record sound. I didn't know that. So what we see, what's what I want black people to understand. They operate on the same formula. Move the start date to when they can insert themselves, overemphasize and frame the argument to the one or two people that they can include, and have the tree branch out from there while ignoring all of the black people that those people learn from, also while ignoring where it came from. You can never understand I heard something from Brother Kaba Kamene and Dr. John Henry Clark. In order to understand the beginning of something, you have to understand the beginning before the beginning. Everything is inspired off of something. If you want to understand hip-hop, you gotta understand rhythm and blues. You gotta understand rock and roll. You have to understand, especially bebop. When it comes to jazz, the earliest I can start, I can go back further than bebop in the 1940s. But when you really understand bebop, the cultural environment that was created out of it, the slang, the way they dress, when you really get an intricate understanding of what bebop is, and when it came from when that culture came from Kansas City to New York in the 40s, and then you see hip hop being done again 40 years later, it's literally one-to-one the same thing over and over again, just with newer technology and newer people. But it's the same. It's like, okay, hip hop didn't do, and I'm telling y'all this. I came to this conclusion while I was in college. I took a lot of music history courses in college too. And I remember I was at Cal State Northridge, and that's where I graduated from. And I remember really learning about bebop, really learning about jazz and the blues and those cultures. And I wrote a college thesis paper 25 years ago talking about hip hop not creating anything new and how this is just a continuation of culture. And there are unlimited books that can point you in this direction. But if you started in 1973, like Bambaataa is trying to do, instead of addressing Lisa Willis, you get this cobbled up, contrived thing that when you really break it down doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and it's like him and Lazy Legs together make sense because they both have sexual allegations.
Yes.
That they need to be fighting instead of thinking that they can fight against us with this hip hop thing.
They both prefer the smell of dookie, but hey, that's their thing, man. But when you mess with when the allegations, I don't know what happened, it wasn't there, but when these kind of allegations out there, that's serious. And as a man, I would expect you to address that for the greater good of society, because it's a bad stain on hip hop when these are the people talking about it.
Focus 77 said, have you noticed that Cologne, Lazy Legs, and their crew all seem to have this same pale-skinned like appearance now? What's up with that? Thank you, Focus. That's probably part of the reason why they're, doing this colonizer type of thing. You know what I mean? They are the paler ones. They're not the ones that are closer, that have the more melanin, who would feel like, listen, we are black. Like if we were there, and a lot of the early ones that were there too were darker Puerto Ricans too. That's why they were able to blend in so well. It's these light New Yorkers now who want to lay claim to something that isn't theirs, and it's very Spaniard-like. It's very conquistador-ish, and we not having it. Like, y'all don't see the fact that black people have had multiple musics stolen from us. It's documented. Like, we have so many musics, just like you said, you thought the electric guitar was some white boy shit because that was stolen from us. So we're at a point where like enough is enough. Y'all not gonna do this with hip hop. And somehow y'all still trying to flip it and bounce it that we're the bad guys for striving to conserve our culture, our creation, our greatness. We're not going to be gaslighted into this bullshit. Yeah. because there's a whole lot of gaslighting going on out here. And I'm not going for it. Y'all don't fuck with the wrong motherfucker. You don't try to attack the wrong motherfucker. Because I'm telling you, the way Fat Joe came at me, bro, I feel like that shit was like, he tried to assassinate me in a way. Like, you know what I mean? Like he did, bro. He might as well as bust at me, like shot bullets at me, because he was trying to take me out with that same type of malicious intent. But this shit ain't work. I'm Kevlar Jamar. Okay? Kevlar Jamar. Fucking play with me. Okay? Now you gotta come down from the motherfucking from the BET Awards. Stars is next. We not fucking playing with you. We're not playing with you. Watch, I got all kind of shit up my sleeve. I did this.
Let me tell you something, Lord Jamar, and let me tell the people out there listening to you, Tethers, and you Fat Joe, and you Busta Rhymes type. I'm gonna say something very clear. It's never been about coming at you guys per se, but you put yourself in front of it. You put yourself out there. For a person like me, I don't have a hit record, but I also don't give a damn about how you guys feel. I'm from LA. When it comes to any kind of celebrity thing, like I'm a live nigga from LA. I've been in these parties back when I worked at Washington Mutual Bank. I was at Grammy parties just because I know everybody in this fucking city. It's not about that kind of stuff for me. It's about there's nothing you can take from me that I didn't have when I was a bank teller working in college. There's nothing you can take from me. But what I do have, what is behind not just me, but people like me, I worked with my kids, my Black American kids in South Central LA. And I know that my culture, we have this guilt. We have this shame. I always ask kids this all the time when I work with kids. What do you think about being Black? And the answer will basically come back to this. We bad. Why are we bad? Because we always on the news killing each other. We can't get it right. The music is bad. And we were slaves. Yeah, we have Martin Luther King, and now we got Michael Jordan and LeBron, but basically that's all they know about Blackness. I saw 10 feet plus boots on the ground, sleeves rolled up, working in South Central LA, the pride in a Black child when they know they invented the light bulb, when they know they invented all the jazz, hip hop, when they know that this is my thing and I created these things. When you see a young Black child go from this to this, and then you see his behavior and her behavior follow along with now a sense of responsibility to carry along a culture and a lineage of greatness, that's the motivation. The motivation is talking to a bunch of children and a bunch of people who've been lied to about who they are. I don't need to go to a comic book. I don't need to go to a Bible or some, no disrespect to the religions. All I got to do is go to Black Americans who lived and say, this is what your forefathers created. Now it's your responsibility to carry along the lineage. That's my motivation. So when your motivation is rooted in telling the truth about your people so that they can feel a certain pride about themselves, so they can then, because it's how you feel about yourself that reflects on how you treat the world. I can stop the killing. We can stop all the back and forth stuff when we know who we are. In LA from 1966 to 1968, right after the Watts riots, there was one murder in South Central LA for 18 months. Why? Because Black people had access to opportunity and a high level of cultural pride, so there was no need for us to shoot each other. That stuff didn't come back into the war on drugs, and then our education system created this menticide to make us feel like we ain't shit. So I'm not going to allow no Pete Rock or no access to a fucking party to stop me from having this. You guys, when y'all said that bullshit, y'all woke up a sleeping giant, and you took away it's a lot of us out here who do what I do. I'm definitely not the only one. And we here to stay, because the ethnic and cultural pride of our people is far more important than rubbing elbows with you. Who the hell are you?
Hang on. New Jeru said in the 40s came bebop, the first bebop, the real bebop. So let me talk about Diz and Bird, giving the word. Deaf and how a beat could be so complete. Guru. All right. Thank you, New Jeru. Appreciate you. Outstanding, brother. Antoine Richardson. Thank you. Say outstanding, good brother. We have to stop thinking them imitating us is flattering or cute. I don't think we should be accepting them in our world at all. I mean, again, we're very ingratiating to different cultures, you know. We worried about other people's feelings, but then they don't give a fuck about ours when it's time.
They don't care.
They don't care at all, especially in times like this. Todd Bridgeford, thank you. He said, before we developed our own style, FBA down south copied everything from New York. The style of dress, slang, everything we saw New York did, we imitated. I was an imitation of Melly Mel until LL came. Thank you, Todd Bridgeforth. Real quick, you said you were in LA. Shout out to my man Glasses Loke, who's on my new joint. Just sent me a fire verse for my album, Building 7, coming soon. But what the fuck's going on with them fires out there, bro? You all right? Is that shit close to where you at? Like,
nah, I'm good because like what Kendrick said, you don't talk about the land if you ain't never been south of the 10. You know, south of the 10 is where we at. We good. We watching that shit burn like damn.
Right. So the black people, this is the white people's neighborhood. Yes.
Well, I gotta be specific. Palisades, yes. Now Altadena, it was a black area because Altadena was one of the small areas that black people were allowed to live.
And I heard Altadena burned down, but they're not really talking about Altadena, and that is where some black people is, right?
Yeah, I got four people I know personally who lost everything. One of my homeboys' father just died back in November. He left in the house, and the house just burned down. It's like,
wow.
So for my Altadena people, those are black people that have been affected because the part of Altadena that got burnt the harshest was the part where black people were living. And so I do want to say that if you see anything from black people from Altadena, please help them out. But that was the first time in my life, and I've been here my whole life, first time in my life a fire or natural disaster really affected a black neighborhood. 99.9% of the time it's them.
Right.
And it's still them right now because, you know, when you look at the Palisades, it's a place called Murphy Ranch up there that was a Nazi training facility that was active still during World War II.
Wow.
And that motherfucker's so for the most part, where we are, where the majority of black people live, where the side of LA where people know of the culturally, where the lowriders are.
Right.
We miles from that. The only thing we get is ash on our cars, but we know people who live in Altadena who are affected.
Right. Okay. And so do you have any aspect of what you think this might be? Does this feel natural to you, or does something feel weird is going on?
It, in some ways, it's generally a combination of both. When you see the weather, like being born and raised here, you ready? Me and my wife were just talking about it a couple weeks ago. Like we was like, man, if we don't get a good rain here, it's about to be some fires because it's been 3 straight years of significant rain. That means lots of bush. So we know when them Santa Ana winds come in from the desert and it hasn't been rain, we haven't had a significant rain since March. So all that shrubbery, you know, it's a good chance. Now, when it comes to them folks, they know a recipe too.
It's just so hot that shit just.
That's actually kind of cold. It's actually kind of cold. It's just dry.
Right, but I'm just saying the sun is just burning. You know what I mean? Like, what's causing the combustion?
Usually there were people there's one guy who got arrested for setting the fire that happened up yesterday. Sometimes, like the Thomas fire that happened a few years ago, that was a power line. Edison had to pay $80 million payout for their shit fucking up. These electrical lines, when that wind gets to blowing, it gets to sparking. I'm never gonna put anything past the white supremacists, but at the same time, when you look at, you know, like the time at the fire, I think the wind was going 80, 90 miles an hour. It was like that was humming. So even if somebody did spark a fire, the only way a whole neighborhood can happen like that is through that wind event that did happen. So I think it could be a combination of maybe they knew we all knew this weather event was coming. So maybe they did something. I don't know. But I do know that the Palisades is one of the areas for the 2028 Olympics. They were talking about converting Palisades to a smart city. Now it's all burnt down. We also got Rancho Palos Verdes for the last year and a half has been sliding into the ocean. They've been sliding a foot a day. And so you have whole neighborhoods in all these white neighborhoods that is just getting fucked up right now.
Now, this sounds like the second time I done heard about some shit that got burned down and the word smart city in the same breath, okay? I could have sworn out in Hawaii, some of the same circumstances was going on. And I mean, I'm seeing some of these fires, molten metal and shit is like that's the kind of shit is like, huh? Like, is this really natural or is this some shit? Right. Are they clearing some shit out the way? Are they trying to cover up some evidence? You know what I mean?
It's like Katrina. It's like the white supremacists, they're never going to let a natural disaster go to waste. You dig what I'm saying? Even if it is natural, they going to do whatever that they got to do to get whatever they got to do to get it done. But being from here, the climate conditions, it's totally natural to have fires like this, especially in those areas. But the jump with the thing is with that black neighborhood though, that's about 3 miles away from the foothills. See, Palisades is pushed. If you look at Palisades, it's nestled in around mountain ranges from all around sides. It's like a George Jefferson. It's like a cul-de-sac. It's a George Jefferson of mountains around the Palisades, and then you got the water right there. But when you get that offshore flow, you generally know, okay, it's about to be some fires. And then I saw people, because I like when we do, because I am the ultimate conspiracy theorist, quote unquote. I believe in questioning everything. But when people put up stuff like how the trees surviving and the homes not, trees have natural forest fire protection. And me and my wife, I'm a nature nigga. Me and my wife go on vacations in the mountains all the time. And when you go up there, you'll see forest fires from 15 years ago where it was a fire, but the trees are now growing. Trees generally don't die. Right. Only a dead tree drive. A live tree is going to stay alive. It's going to stay up. It's going to be charred, but it's going to stay up. So that whole tree thing, that's natural to see trees still survive. You drive through a forest after a forest fire, 80% of those trees are still living. They're just charred. So, right. But it is some funny stuff. And also just time, this is whatever happens, even if they do it, it ain't gonna be nothing that nature don't approve of anyway. You know what I mean? The fires are natural. The fires are gonna happen. It's just in America, in California, people built whole ass neighborhoods where the forest is. If you're in the city, you're good.
Dimples 718, thank you, Dimples. She said, "Peace to the gods, LJ and Dwann B. I'm just passing through to drop a gem on the FBA family. For those that don't know, the word rap is an acronym for rhythm and poetry. That's all for now. Y'all continue to cook." Thank you, Dimples. I appreciate you, Queen. What you got to say about that?
Yeah. And here's the thing about rap. I heard people saying rap is we've been rapping as long as we've been singing. As long as we know English, rap has always been a part of our music. Cab Calloway, going all the way back, to the 30s. Like I said, when I was at Microphone Check, we don't have a beginning date for rap because Louis Armstrong rapped in some of his music in the 20s. Fats Waller rapped. The only thing that makes it unique post 70s is the funk beat. Rap was always just a segment of the song. When we did it, then we get back to singing. What happened when the beat changed, when that funk came, it gave rap a pocket to really pop off, to really, just that groove makes it now to when you jump up in the cypher, and now the rap, it just really takes on a much bolder point. When you're looping a 2-bar beat or when you're looping 4 bars, it gives the pocket and the bass to really pop off. Versus if you're doing swing, it's all this other instrumentation going on. You almost don't even notice that they're rapping because there's so many other things going on in the environment of the song. Funk created an environment for the rap to now stand out, but the rap was always there.
TM said, Dwan, please speak on lowrider culture. Thanks.
That's some shit that they trying to steal from us here on the West Coast. I just interview, I haven't put it out yet, but one thing I do, I go around and interview a lot of the originators. And I interview the wife of Big Red. She created the term lowrider in 1955.
And this is a black person.
Black people here in LA. My dad was a lowrider back in the 70s. So that whole lowrider culture means something to me because I was raised off Crenshaw and Rodeo. I remember riding my bikes down there and seeing all the lowriders on Crenshaw take over the gas station and take over everything. So this is my culture that I'm now seeing them put a Mexican face on. Not saying Mexicans didn't do it, but Big Red was the first. What you had was here in LA, people don't understand in LA, the auto industry was very big out here. A lot of auto manufacturers. So a lot of your original lowriders worked at these places. Also, the Lockheed Martin, the Boeing, the airplanes for the black people worked in these jobs. So when Big Red first started doing lowriders in the early late 40s into the 50s, he worked at Jack Northrop at Northrop, and he had this. He had these shocks that they used, and he changed those shocks to lower the car. And we were the ones lowriding. When the 70s came, when the whole switches,
Right.
that comes from airplane parts, from spoilers. It was a part. I forgot the man's name who worked over here at Boeing, who took that part, put it in shocks, and that's what made the car start popping and doing this kind of stuff. Black people and Mexicans live on, especially back then before the 90s, Mexicans were in East LA, black people were on the West Side. We weren't even interacting. Mexicans low ride down Whittier, we low ride down Crenshaw and Broadway. It was us that was doing the low riders. And then when Mexicans did low ride, they had the big old boat cars from the 40s. My dad in 73 had a 69 Riviera. That was his car, you know. And then when you get to the 70s and into the 80s, them 6.4s became them 64s, Chevys became the thing. Right. That's what we were doing. The Mexicans, their low riding they were still doing them old 1950s dome hubcap cars.
Right.
But we was the ones putting the Daytons on them. When we was the ones doing all this stuff, got to give credit to Ohio and their car culture too. But all I got to do is say, okay, listen to the music. The first big song about lowriding was by War. War's black people out of Long Beach and Compton. The original, one of the original funk bands. When you listen to Cruising Down the Street in My 6'4", that's black people. When we tried to get that song, when Cube tried to get that song, I'm drawing a blank to the name of the group out of New York that he tried to give that song to, they rejected it because out of New York, it didn't make sense to cruise down the street in Yo 6'4". That's some LA culture shit. And so that's why I go into talk about how hip hop.
We used to ride 9.8s out here, Delta 98s. That was some New York shit back then.
And out here, though, it was a whole thing on Crenshaw, and all up and down Crenshaw, you had us low riding. The first people ever mentioned in the published newspaper were black low riders, and I interviewed the lady who's in the article. You know, when it comes to Lowrider Magazine was created in '69, but we were already 20 years into the culture when Lowrider Magazine was created, and the style of lowrider that they use on TV commercials today, that Modelo commercial. The style of lowriders that the Japanese are buying $100,000 a car,
right,
are the styles that we invented. You know, so the whole lowrider culture, man. You go watch remember that scene on Boys in the Hood when they was lowriding,
right,
and they shot the gun in the air,
right.
When I was a kid, I was on my bike watching them. I rode my bike down there to watch them on that scene. I didn't actually see them film the scene because it was too late. It was past my bedtime. But earlier that day, I was there on set. We was on our bikes looking for Ice Cube. We heard Ice Cube was here. Like that, that scene was every Sunday on Crenshaw until the LAPD, the city of Los Angeles, came up with an ordinance in the mid-90s called it was called a no cruise zone. So if you were caught going down the street more than twice within 6 hours, they can tow your car. So it was those laws that stopped black people from low riding the way we did. It was because they didn't want to get their shit taken. But no, that's our culture.
Yeah, I remember being in Cali, you know, when early in our career, I want to say we were in Palo Alto area. So I forget where we was at. It wasn't LA per se, but we was in one of those type of towns. And they had some car shit, like all the cars was out, and it was it was like a thing, like, and some real lowrider type of black shit too.
Bay Area, yep.
Yeah. So why do you think, right? Just like breakdancing, why do you think Spanish people get associated with lowriders if it's something that we started?
It's like the white supremacists. People got to understand that the war is black versus white. So if they got to throw in another group to disinherit us, that's what they're going to do, especially a white identifying group. Because just say in some way they take hip hop. Say somehow they take low riding. All the white folks is going to do is kick them off to the side, and they won't fight back and say this was ours. So it's like a white person can't say I was down on Crenshaw. They didn't come down there. They cannot say I was low riding, but these white identifying Latinos can.
Right.
So we're going to pay you to basically disinherit them, because at the end of the day, you already did this in Puerto Rico, in Cuba, in Mexico, and wherever else you are. So you're already 300 or 400 years into this Spanish style conditioning of whitening everything. So you already know what the game plan is because you did it at home.
Right.
So let's bring these groups here. And then since we have all these black people saying black and brown this, black and brown that, the younger generation can come up. It'd be easy for a person under 20 to say, well, it's black and brown. So if we were all doing it together, why couldn't the Latinos? No, Latinos were over there doing that. We were over here doing this. And what we now know is lowrider culture, the face of it, is the style that black people were doing, not the style that the Latinos were doing. But that's all about, again, the menticide against the black race. If we're going to keep you black people in control, you cannot have cultural pride over inventing nothing. And so it's just a continuation of what we've been going through since we've been freed here in America.
It seems like the Hispanics have been used to be a conduit for, a bridge between the black culture and the white culture. And like you said, they have no problem taking from the black culture and giving to the white culture with, no real reward. Little pats on the back, but nothing substantial. Yeah, and it just seems like that's definitely their job. Like they will, because I remember white people that could cosplay as Puerto Rican. A white person can't cosplay as black, but they definitely can cosplay as Puerto Rican. And that was their way to sometimes get around hip hop circles without getting beat up and shit like that. If they act like they fucking was Puerto Rican and shit like that.
And here's the thing, going back to black people, like when I hear Latinos saying, I'm not saying y'all didn't, y'all had your own lowriders, but y'all had your own style of lowriding that nobody cared about outside of your community.
Right.
All you gotta do, when I went down to the Peterson Automotive Museum where Biggie got shot, I was there they have a lowrider museum right now where they talk about the history of lowriders. They got Mexican faces on it, but the style of lowriding that they're putting in front of the world is a style that we created. And not only, and let me piss y'all off even more.
Do it.
Black people are the ones that got Harley Davidson popping and everything going on like that. That's our stuff. You guys didn't like. Y'all, white people did Indian motorcycles. We did Harleys.
What?
We did choppers. What? Choppers is our culture. Look up a man called Sugar Bear and the Sugar Bear front end.
Yeah, I used to love choppers when I was a child. Like when I was a kid in the 70s, choppers was the coolest fucking thing to me.
We had to
chopper bicycles too.
Motorcycles together. And it was a black man named Sugar Bear who created a front end for choppers. That's he in his shop was about 1.5 miles where I'm living right now in Gardena. And he created a front end that white people around the world would come down here to the hood to buy, to put on the front end of their motorcycles, because it's known as the most perfectly engineered front end for a chopper that you could ever buy. Look him up, Sugar Bear. And so when it comes, because we as a people, look at us. Everything we do, we got to stylize. You know, we ain't the kind of people, that's culturally, we don't just take stuff out the box and turn it on. We take it out the box, we whoomty-wamp, we boomty-bamp, we put it this, we put it that. We just a flavorful people. And we got money, instead of putting it in stocks, and unfortunately sometimes we put it in our shit. We just trying to be the flyest nigga on the block. You guys come and say, hey, I'm going to stop doing these big old boat lowriders, and I'm going to do what the Negroes are doing. That's your choice. But again, you were told by your mama that these people, these black people, stay away from them. You were told by your uncles and your society and Telemundo that black people wasn't shit. So you got to rationalize y'all love for us by saying you created. Stop it. It's not good for your mental health. Get to telling the truth so you can love yourself and love your culture more. That's the only way you're going to love your culture more, is to be truthful about your culture and what you brought.
Damn. This brother dropping fucking bombs on y'all. Goodness gracious. Antoine Richardson said, question for Lord Jamar, please. For one, you aren't, or were you a part of Brand Nubians? No, I wasn't a part of Brand Nubians. I was a part of Brand Nubian. And I remember when my homie Serge from Cleveland came and a feature with y'all, I think. Yes. Shout out to the homie Serge. That was my dude back in the days. Hell of a rapper. He was also a singer. He was Drake before Drake fucking existed. Will Jones said, brother, so accurate. The origination of hip hop so deep and hard to pinpoint. No, it's not hard to pinpoint at all. What are you talking about? It's not hard to pinpoint. Look at that. See, that's that lira. That's that a pound or whatever. You know, Will Jones is from across the pond. It's not hard to pinpoint at all. Have you not been listening? We pinpointed this whole shit for 2 hours now. What are you talking about?
And let me tell the person like that, like, and whenever something, this is just not for me, it's for anybody. Whenever you're getting information, they have to be able to give you names, dates, and locations. And we're giving you names, dates, and locations and time. And true research is being able to go to that, and that information is abundant. And not only can you get it from names, dates, locations, and times, just listen to the music that hip hop is sampling. Just that's your key. Who are you sampling? Okay. Oh, I'm sampling Donald Byrd. Oh shit, where's Donald Byrd? Donald Byrd is a person that put Herbie Hancock on. Herbie Hancock is the person that really legitimized the hip hop sound to the older generation with Rocket. It took Mtume to do Juicy Fruit in the R&B side for that. But Mtume is a jazz musician that created the beat that ended up being one of Biggie Small's biggest hits. And then when you do find a white artist, say they're sampling the Bee Gees. Cool, now research the Bee Gees. Well, the Bee Gees said that they were trying to sound like the Rolling Stones. It didn't work. When the Bee Gees didn't take out in their own documentary, if you listen to the Bee Gees speak, the Bee Gees were trying to sound like the Stylistics. So even when you go to a white person, the musicians themselves generally have no agenda. They just want to tell you who they liked. It's the media and the people around them that have these alternative agendas that twist and warp things. If you listen to the people that's being sampled in hip hop, you're either going to go directly to a black person, because that black person is going to tell you they lineage, they got it from church. They got it from this black act. But when you go to that white person, whether it be Elton John, Boy George, or Justin Timberlake, if that's what's being sampled, if you just say, you look at the song, they say they sample Steely Dan. Okay, let's go look at Steely Dan. What was Steely Dan's music? That was what we call blue-eyed soul or yacht rock. Go watch the documentary on yacht rock. What do they say?
That too. Yep.
These are just white musicians that was trying to sound like the black guys.
Yes, sir.
So when you just
Michael McDonald and all them niggas.
Yeah, and we gave life to white musicians, and then hip hop took a Michael McDonald song and created, Warren G.
Yes,
When
sir.
you
Shout
listen
out
to
to my
Michael
boy
McDonald, he was trying to sound black. He wasn't trying to sound like the white boys.
Yep.
So it always 100% of the time, just listen to the music, and if you care enough, read the biographies of the people, the musicians that composed this music. They're going to tell you the truth. No different with Jamaican music. Bob Marley's going to tell you he's trying to sound like Gladys Knight and Smokey Robinson. Lee Scratch Perry's going to tell you he was trying to sound like Chuck Berry. Like, they tell you the truth.
Oh, this is a good one right here. TM said, Dwan, please share your book list on topics. Do you have a book list for people?
I could do a quick one just from the books that are in front of me, because these are the ones I've been in lately. All right, cool. One we got to look at is by Nelson George, Death of Rhythm and Blues. We have to understand that the rise of hip hop came at the expense of rhythm and blues. Hip hop never took out R&B. R&B was defunded and hip hop was promoted. It was because of the funding that was taken away from the live orchestration in black music. It reduced the richness of our sound. And then in the 80s came around, all those budgets, all those black-owned labels that we owned in the 60s and the 70s, they all got taken out. And then they got the powers that be, the Clive Davises and stuff, took that money that used to be for rhythm and blues and pumped it into hip-hop. So we have to understand that R&B did not die a natural death. Funk did not die a natural death. It was defunded by the people in order to push a music that was a little cheaper to produce. You got Jazz and Justice by Gerald Horne. This book talks about the political economy of black music and about all of the different the culture around our sound. There's another book it's down in my basement. It's called Souled, talking about how American music, SOULED, sold, the black influence is going back to the 1800s, talking about how black American music going back way back then created the culture for America. There's Race Music. This book right here is talking about the black culture from bebop to hip hop. There's also this book right here. When people want to talk about me, when I say that black music was stolen and that it was purposely, the texture and the love and the live instrumentation and the lyricism was removed to lower and dummy down the sound. You can find a lot of that in this book, Rhythm and Business. This talks about how basically the business attacked the soul of black music to degenerate it. There's also a book called Hitmen by Frederick Damian. This book talks about the power players, the ones who purposely, some of the ones who actually pushed black music and made it and really saw it, because there was some small hats that truly didn't give a damn. They just wanted to make some money, so they were doing everything they could do to elevate our sound. But it also talks about the deviants that overpowered them and their economic agenda and the psychological agenda behind taking away our sound. Our sound was stolen from us. Our sound was degenerated on purpose by the people who control the industry, because they had to manufacture it and make it to where everybody else could participate. So our music was targeted. We didn't go from Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes to Cardi B by accident. We didn't go from Earth and Fire to what's the little gay boy, Lil Nas X. That was by design 50 years ago. And this is just some of the books, but Death of R&B by Nelson George, Jazz and Justice by Gerald Horne, Race Music by Guthrie Ramsey, Rhythm and Business by Norman Kelly, and Hitmen by Frederick Damian. These books will get you started. And then also, like on my Patreon, I have full courses that I teach on this, because I combine the books with me being a musician. And like a lot of the musicians that taught me when I was growing up, these were guys that played with Earth and Fire, guys that played with all the great bands of the 70s. Just 30 years of conversations that I've had. I just had an interview with Val Young, the great singer from Death Row Records, who started with Parliament Funkadelic, and her stories. My father-in-law, Mr. James Carmichael, I've been with my wife for 20 years now. And me and him have had 20 years of conversations just, on his producing Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie and the Commodores and B.B. King and Kenny Rogers and down the list. So some of the stuff that I know is not in books. It's just from being born and raised in L.A. and always being around a lot of these people and them giving me the information for me to pass it back to you guys.
Speaking of L.A., we got the Queen. Oh, my God, I didn't even see that. She done went crazy today. We got the Queen Asia M in the house. Goodness gracious. Thank you, Queen. You are always so generous and so gracious to the show. We appreciate you, Queen. She said, peace, Lord. Amazing show. Dwan, did you go to Dorsey High School?
No, I was actually raised right across the street from Dorsey. I lived on Chesapeake, but I went to Westchester because growing up across the street from Dorsey, I talked too many niggas get shot out my front window. So I said, let me go to Westchester instead.
She said she graduated from there in 1995. I grew up on 30th and Crenshaw.
Right around the corner. I'm class of 99 from Westchester. But no, I didn't go to I grew up right across the street from Dorsey, but I went to Westchester with the black folks over there.
That's funny. And I grew up in Westchester County. Here in New York. Man, thank you, Asia M. Much love always. And yes, we strive to, bring that information that some of these other dudes are scared to bring. You heard? But we love you as always. Thank you, Queen. Where was he? We said the book list. Oh, yeah, I just wanted to address this. Kareem Supreme TV said, in the past, Puerto Ricans have been trying to colonize the 5% nation. You right about that. Some of them have. Yes. What? There's a couple suckers in there. This dude named Sunez, he need to get the fuck out of here. Like this dude. These dudes think they try to come in and try to act like they extra smart or something like that. And they, like this one, man, I don't even want to get this dude no real pub, but there's a couple of them that I'm not feeling them dudes, and they're going to end up getting their ass exiled. They keep fucking around with me.
That's bullshit. I ain't firing Puerto Ricans. What?
The black man is God. Okay. That is a foundational Black American organization that we allow Puerto Ricans in because the ones that are going to acknowledge that the black man is God, cool, but don't get beyond yourself.
I got two more books. One is called, this is just for more of a study of the Latin mind. It's called Racial Innocence. And this is written by an Afro-Latina, Tanya Hernandez, and she talks about the white supremacy within Latin culture. And this is a college edition book that talks about the white supremacy that goes on and why black people need to keep our culture. If you want some scholarship on how Latinos view black people and how they treat black people at home and how they treat black people in America, if you want scholarship to back up what you see, this is a great book. It's called Racial Innocence by Tanya Hernandez, because you always want to get a cultural context along with the direct information. And back to music, this book called Blue Monday. This talks about, in this book specifically, it talks about Fats Domino and the black soul sound out of Louisiana being the sound of Jamaica. That's directly in here, talking about how ska reggae and all that stuff was built. If you want a more scholarly point of view on how Jamaican music comes out of Black American music, get this book. And in this book, what you'll find is you'll see that radio stations out of New Orleans, some good, strong radios in Jamaica can hear radio in America, either out of Miami and out of New Orleans. And also it talks about how a lot of your Jamaicans during World War II were brought to work the sugar fields in the United States of America. And what they would do is they buy records and take them back to Jamaica. And the Jamaican musicians were imitating this guy right here. So there's scholarship to back what I'm saying with firsthand testimony, with everything.
I want you to follow my brother Dwan B on IG. I put a description in the description. I put a link to his channel. So I want you guys to subscribe to his channel as well. You know, let's definitely get his channel up, you know, some thousands immediately.
Yes, sir.
Man, this is excellent, bro. Like I don't even seems like we
I appreciate the look, man, for real.
go on and man, nah, I appreciate the information and just the scholarship of it, and just, you know, the I could just tell the love and, you know, that you have for the music and the culture, and you know, this is what happens when you truly care about something, you know. We're not just gonna let it go.
And y'all get I created this Black American tree because I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I know, not to shade, but I know that oftentimes we have the greatest intentions, but even if we buy the book, we don't finish the book. How can I teach Black music without? And then I was on a mushroom trip, and this vision popped up. And I woke up out of that trip, and I put most of this t-shirt together by memory. And then just put it together, and then I use these books to make sure I'm right, because I don't want anybody to come back and say, no, you're wrong, look at you. No, dickhead. I made sure I went back and watched my documentaries, and I read my books, and I spent like another 6 months really just making sure. And I'm talking, and this dates back to the 1600s, what Black Americans were doing in the 1600s, 1700s, and how that got to jazz, how that got to blues, how that got to vaudeville, and how out of that sound we got to rhythm and blues and where we are right now. And it talks about all the different genres that we've created throughout time.
Well, yo, Dwan B, I'm probably gonna have to have you come back another time, because this
anytime. I watch almost every episode, so I'm here regardless. I'm just not. I don't really be in the chat that much, but I'll be here regardless.
Nah, that's what's up, man. I appreciate you, man. I didn't know that, but now I know, and I'm now subscribed to your channel. I clicked all, so I will be notified every time you drop a new one, and I suggest y'all do the same. Yes, definitely follow suit on that note. Man, I appreciate everybody that's coming through. I ain't even gonna front. It was too many joints to even read everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like all the super chats. So I just read a lot of the bigger ones. You know what I mean? But thank you to everybody that was in the super chat. If I couldn't, you know, read your joint, I apologize. But yeah, there was too much information for the brother, you know. So yeah, we just had to let him cook, man. Just let him cook.
We could talk all day, man. Anytime I'm available, man. Just let me know.
I appreciate you. Yeah, we're gonna exchange math after this, and you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
That's how we do. But yo, listen, man. This is a great one, man. I suggest everybody like rewatch this. Like this is one I gotta sit back and really rewatch it. Because there's a lot of valuable information inside this this episode. We didn't really get to talk too much about the fact that we got Joe up out of here, but you know,
he's insignificant.
Yeah, he's always been insignificant. We just kind of tolerated him in the culture, and he didn't realize that, but I think he's starting to realize who he is, and we're gonna make him continue. Like I said, there's a link in the description if you want to sign a petition. You know, that's up to you. Like, you know what I mean? You know? But we're going to let our voices be heard, and we're going to show and prove that foundational Black Americans aren't a bunch of broke niggas, and that we can actually move and shake things out here in this world. So that's what we're going to continue to do. So once again, you can follow my brother on IG, right? Dwan B.
IG is IG, Twitter, DwannB.com, and also YouTube at Dwan B. It's at Dwan B on all. Put at Dwan B on YouTube, you're gonna find my channel. On IG, on Twitter, and also if you put a .com behind it, you'll find my website.
Bang, bang, bang. There we go. Yo, my brother, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's an honor, my brother.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get with you again. Dwan B, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, King. Man, oh man. Well, yo, that was quite a show, y'all. Quite a show. Goodness gracious. I'm still taking it in. Once again, like I said, thank you to everybody that hit me in the super chat, all your questions. I appreciate you. We're gonna go out. We're gonna go out with the joint one more time because we gotta just run up the numbers on YouTube and shit. So we're gonna let this joint cycle before we go out. We're gonna let the elephant ring off.
Says such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room.
We're gonna let it ring
Let's
off.
address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Let's address it.
Says such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Shout out my Ricans and Jamaicans. I know you think I'm hating, but you had no influence in creation of this hip hop. Your participation was tip top, but Black Americans showed you how to rip shop. Have you forgot that we taught you how to dress? Back then, coming out looking like a mess.
Shout out to my people in Delaware that brought me out yesterday.
Shoes clunky. We showed you how to get funky fresh. Amongst the best.
John Yale Hall,
we helped
thank
you
you.
learn the language, so at school you wouldn't flunk the test.
Let's address the elephant in the room.
The elements came from bands and man grooms. Breaking just another dance that came from the culture. Don't be like the other man and act like a vulture.
Black conservatives,
all day,
thank you.
influences, FBA. I'll say it's true, right to this day.
You says such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
The elephant.
You says such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Okay, the sun isn't 93 million miles away. If it was, then why is it dark in space? The sun and moon are right here in the atmosphere. It's clear, just that information that these bastards fear. I send an invitation to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Wanna debate him cause I feel that his ass lying. How is the fly defying gravity? If it's holding down the ocean, that's a ridiculous notion. And water always finds its level. It can't curve on a ball, but y'all still have the nerve and the gall to call me a flat earther, like I'm a bad person. Shit is sad when I see the ignorance worsen. And I know this doesn't jive with the lessons, but I will always be a 5 to my essence. I think it's time we address it. Renew our Quran, what we need to do, word is born.
You says such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
The elephant.
You says such an elegant tune. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Once again, for the God Pod, I'm Lord Jamar. Peace and love, y'all. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Love y'all. I'm going to see y'all next time. Shout out Doggy Diamonds.